All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, shipmates of all ages, welcome to Cross Your Bow Podcast, episode number 22. With me, joining me this week is a brand new EU streamer, my man Hammerald. We have the epitome
22.
record here of what, 90 and 0, we're like 85 and 0, something like that together when we play together.
87 or something. Yeah,
87. There you go.
87.
Of course, you guys know who I am. Twitch.tv/ServantOfMyK. If you guys are hanging out here, or if you guys are over on the YouTube, there's the link right there. You guys can also hit me up at Sir_Venom_IK. You guys can find over Hammerald over at Twitch.tv/Hammerald. 2 M's, an E, an R, an A, an L, and a D. There you go.
That's my name.
So, what you been working on this week in game, man?
Well, I've been trying to finish those Exeter missions and trying to finish the testing of the ships that Wargaming sent to me to test. And yeah, it's been a quite interesting experience going back to playing the Nelson, the Belfast, the Warspite. It's been quite interesting. Yeah.
I think these Exeter missions have been pretty rough, pretty difficult. Then there's one
I
in
like that.
particular. There's one
I
in
like
particular.
that.
No, I find it really enjoyable because it's a challenge and it gives me something that I have to strive for and have to do. Now, a lot of people are just going in there and they're like, "I have 6 games and I only got one achievement." And I'm like, "Okay,
Dude,
it happens.
get good. That's the basic of it.
Get
Play
good."
more. Play
That's it.
more and get
Uh,
better.
All
Just
right,
keep
fair
playing.
enough. Fair enough.
You
The
give
one,
up.
the one is the 7 achievements. I know 7 achievements is kind of rough, but we're talking about any achievement here at this point. First blood, dev strikes, double strikes. We're talking about witherers, juggernauts, or I'm sorry, they're
You
not
know, it took me two
dreadnoughts.
games, right?
It took you 2 games. It took me.
Two
It took me a
games.
handful of games, man. And I don't think it took very long. We had one guy we were playing with during the 24-hour stream that just passed. He was struggling and struggling. I was like, "Come on, man. Let's do this, man. Let's just pick up our fucking T6, our T6 destroyers. You know, the Jervis, I believe, is what it is, or whatever the tier 6 one is." And we picked that up, and I was like, "Let's just go balls deep into the cap. Let's just go." So I go right up into D on ring, and he goes in through the middle and around the corner, and I'm distracting him with torpedoes. They're turning away, and then boom, he gets death strikes. He gets a dev strike, and then 2 seconds later he gets another dev strike. So he ended up getting 3 on that one swing. Then he got an after death kill. So he ended up getting 4 in one game.
He's only like the only way it could have gotten any perfect would have been if he would have detonated.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been even better if it had detonated on that. And that was.
Still,
I mean, it's just it goes in spurts. I mean, like I have. It took me almost 10,000 games to get my first. No, about 8,000 games to get my first solo warrior in this game, and then I got 3 of them in a week, and then I haven't gotten one since. And it's another 2,000 plus games past that.
yeah, that's proof that the game is a living organism that you cannot predict, and you may get those 7 in 2 games, or I might have gotten them in 12. It could have basically happened any way.
Well, it's the same
I was
thing with
just
the.
lucky, and all you gotta do is keep playing, and follow that objective. Try to accomplish it. It's fun when you try to accomplish it, not when you like do it 2 slaps and you did it.
Yeah.
That's
So I like these, man. I mean, if you guys remember the old ARP, when the first iteration of the ARP when they released, I believe it was the Miyoko and like one of the Congos, one of the, I don't know,
serious,
one of those things. Those things were difficult. When you change,
serious campaigns.
when you have to go out there, you need to kill 17 IJN cruisers, but they have to be rolling backwards and turning with their torpedoes facing the other direction, and that's the only way that it'll count. You know, stuff like
Yep.
that. Stuff like that ends up being hard because most of the people are like, okay, well, I'm on the German side. I have to be German to do this. So everybody's playing German and everybody's looking for those Japanese kills. And then you have the other side of it. I mean, it was a mess. It was a pain in the ass. So I'm
Yeah.
glad they've gone. I'm glad they've taken a step back and gone back to you need to earn this much experience. You need to earn this much damage. Damage, you can get that. And it was 750,000 damage, I believe, on the last one in the
Yep.
British cruisers, battleships, or destroyers 6 through 8. and it ended up taking me quite a while. But I mean, it's not a hard thing to do. You'll get those eventually. Same thing with the citadels. You'll get those eventually. I think the most difficult one is because it was 7, and they actively were trying to look for these things, and they had to play a little bit off of what they would normally play to go try to get these first bloods, to go try to get these. The easiest one to get was first blood. Just run out there and bam,
Yeah.
ram somebody, but make sure you have a ram flag on if you're going to go do that. We found that out too.
First bloods and detonations, I think, were the easiest. Just get all your DDs from tier 5 to tier 8, then run in there without a flag and just show yourself to the world, and you're gonna get detonated once every 3-4 games.
Yeah. I know. Put on the fire flags and
Yeah. Put everything that
the
makes you
flood
detonate.
flags, yeah. Put that on. It'll happen eventually. So what have I been working on this week? Not much really. I'm just we did a 24-hour stream, then we did another 8 hours after that, and then last night I took off after about 3 hours because I was getting kind of tired. I'm just kind of burnt. But I've been working on the CVs, trying to grind my way through tier 8. The Lexington, the Implacable, I think it's the Implacable, and then the Shokaku there. Trying to get my 10,000 experience a day, so which translates into 2, maybe 3 games a day on each of the boats that I have to play, so about 9 CV games a day. It's not bad. I mean, I find them when they're top tier, they're a little bit strong. When they're bottom tier, they're not strong, and I find that kind of fair.
But they're fun.
Are they
They're
fun?
fun, Venom. They're fun. Come on, they're fun to play, and they're fun to play against.
All right,
You have to adapt.
I'll agree, but you have to give me this. It is only fun for me because I'm learning a new mechanic. I'm learning something. Once I stop learning and it becomes old hat, or old, habits or whatever, it becomes kind of tedious, or it becomes kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Repetitive. And yeah, repetitive does not translate into fun to me.
I don't know. I feel every ship is repetitive if you play it long enough. I just think that every part of this game is repetitive at some point. But you have so many situations to adapt. You have at least 12 plus 11 green situations to adapt every single game on a different map. So I just find every CV game to be different. The drops are.
I think even wider than that, you can
complex.
say every game that I've ever played. We're up almost 13,000 games. I don't know how many games you're playing, but
I'm 3,500.
Yeah,
maximum.
So you've played quite a bit of games as well, but no 2 games have ever been the same.
Yeah. I played more competitive than normal games almost.
Yeah. So how far do you go now? Playing against a CV, well, that's another story. DDs are struggling right now. Let's be fair. It's pretty rough on them, but they are working on that according to what we'll get into a little bit later on. But anyway, that's what I've been working on. Overall, I'm finding playing the CVs pretty enjoyable. Playing against them, it's another story. That's another story for another time. So let's go into the news, man. King of the Sea. EU finals, and then I believe the international finals was the same day.
Yep. Yeah. Next day were the international. Yep.
Yeah. Third place, Team Extreme, on the EU. The second place was the junk team, Garbage Man, and then first place was TWA.
Predictable.
Yeah. And then the international finals was TWA versus Smile, which is a Russian team, and then Smile takes the international finals.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Let me know. Tell me what you find out about the King of the Sea tournament, man. As it was going on, when I'm usually asleep and I'm not around. So let me know what you thought.
It was a pretty good tournament when it comes to testing what works in this meta. It was more of a trial kind of tournament. As we all know, AA and CVs are a work in progress, and they were heavily used in this tournament. Like CVs and the AA mechanic mattered a lot. Probably the most important mechanic in this Kings of the Sea was the AA and CV interaction. Uh, what I can say is that the result in Europe was and in Russia was pretty predictable. TWA being the team that really prepared for this. The bigger clans in Europe uh, didn't show as much commitment as TWA. There were some big clans that didn't participate, some big clans that just got two members from another clan, three members from another clan, and just scrapped a team that wasn't representative of a single clan, but of three or four other clans. They just play like a bunch of really good skilled players. And the result showed TWA, a solid team. They they play together for years, so they know each other very well. Just went almost undefeated. I think undefeated actually,
How
all
do
the
you
way.
find playing together an important thing? I know me and a couple other guys, we played together for so long over the past 2.5 years that we can be okay. I'm right here. Okay, well I just look over and I know that that guy's going to be there on my shoulder here. Okay, where are you at now? I know when I end up playing with some of the other guys that we play with here because we are a very interactive chat and we do like to play with people in the chat. I'm like, okay, I'm over here. Whoa, what the fuck? Why are you on the other side of the board? Oh, okay. Well, I guess communication's not there. You find I can see where communication between the teams that have played together for a long time would be better off than somebody just say, "Hey, it's a pickup game. Let's go. Let's go. All right, now we're going into this tournament."
Yeah. Well, as in any human activity, group activity, if there is good communication, after a while it becomes almost like sound muscle memory. So only one word from a guy makes the entire team just switch their tactic and move to the other side of the map. It doesn't have to explain. He just says a word and everybody knows that they what they need to do. So it just says oh, and everybody knows that they either need to pop radar or smoke or yeah. Once you play enough, you just react to just an exclamation and you know what to do.
Right. Overall,
So
best game at
really important.
uh, obviously best team in the EU. TWA, congratulations to them. Congratulations
Yeah,
to everybody else getting into second, third, fourth place. It was quite a bit of teams. And
all the teams played well. Like all the teams that participated in the last 16 were really good teams, and they played well. And they tried to do their best in a meta that's not finished. So props to them. Props to them. All of them. Russia, the NA Kings of the Sea was also really competitive. So props to everybody. Russia, NA, and EU.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they fantastic. I'm not going to get in there and do it. I would love to be in there and watching it. What do you think of the presentation of the observer ships? Those were pretty new, being different colors and everything. I know we usually have the casters in there as they're doing the thing. Then they kill themselves and then they have free roam on the camera. But some
Yeah,
new implementations of something in there in the early
that's
works.
that's the future. That will be the future. When we're gonna watch a game, we're gonna probably or no longer see the camos that they picked. We're actually gonna see red and blue ships. So you would be connected directly to the minimap. You will see who shoots at who. You will see the shells. Probably they can even have the shells have some different colors, but they need to put it out there closer to what it can be someday, sort of an esport.
Sort
You
of an
can tell the
esport.
ships apart. Yeah, you can tell the
Yeah,
ships apart, the teams apart, and you no longer need to have six ships at the beginning of the game ramming each other so that you can spectate.
yeah.
Well, the spectate mode will be on probably by the end of this year, and there are changes that are coming to the competitive side of the game.
I look forward to all that. I know if you guys are out there and anything that they do for competitive will end up trickling down to randoms eventually. Now, are we
Exactly.
going to get into the point where, like League of Legends has, where they have spectator mode and you can spectate just about any game that you want to?
any game of any great player or your worst friend that's in bronze 4,
Yeah.
you can spectate anything.
As a streamer content maker, as a maker like I am and maker like you are here, that's potentially that has potential
Yes.
for some extremely intricate analysis of gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. You no longer
Extremely,
need to
yeah,
you no longer need to ask a really good player to share with you some of his replays and make a video out of it. You just spectate, make comments on it, and do it live. Hello.
well,
That's
spectate.
the best way to do it.
Obviously, there'll be a little bit of a delay in between the games. There won't
Yeah.
be it won't be immediate, but it will be definitely a 5 minute delay or some crap like that, or 10 minute delay, whatever. But in between that, like they do in the
In the competitions, in
excuse
the
me,
official.
in the League of Legends, the way that they do theirs. But
Yeah.
on the other side of it, oh man, how awesome is that as a teaching tool? As a teaching
Yeah.
tool, when I can go in there and go, okay, guys, we're going to spectate somebody's game today, and let's analyze what this guy's doing. And if he's wondering what the hell's going on, then we can analyze that. We could say,
Yeah.
Hammer, you're struggling in this boat. All right, well, let's jump in here and spectate this dude and see how he's playing this boat. See if he's doing it right. See what he's paying attention to. What I would be paying attention to, as opposed to what he's paying attention to.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's the best way to learn this game. Just for everybody out there, the best way to learn this game is to watch people that are really good at the game play it. The ship that you're grinding, go on YouTube or Twitch and look for a good player that plays that ship and see what he's doing. And just try to understand it and repeat.
I understand it. That's why I generally like doing that stuff on live as I go, because you can have an active conversation. Well, what about this? What about that? You can filter through some of the things that you can't do when you're on YouTube. Like, hey, well, what do you think about this? Oh, well, now it's a week before I'm actually being able to talk to you, and the question's not relevant anymore to what your situations, and you don't know, and that's why it's just easier on live streams to do
Yeah.
analytics like that and replay adjustments and so on and so on. It's just easier to do it live, which is why I don't think I do a whole lot of YouTube anyway. So what do I know? Thoughts?
Well, I think live streaming and streaming while explaining your every single move to the audience is the best thing that you can do for that audience. Especially if they want to learn the game. Not just seeing you play it, but understand like what's your mental plan behind that move, what you're trying to achieve by doing that move. And they can see you succeed or they can see you fail, and they will immediately know, ooh, thinking like that is either good or bad. If
Right.
you fail, they learn how not to do it. If you succeed, they'll learn to do it.
Well, I mean, if you fail and you say you're coming, I'm not going to give any examples here, but if you do happen to fail, you can be like, okay, this is the reason why I failed. Now I have to pay attention
Yeah,
to that for the next situation that this is into. This strategy is still sound and it could work. It just happened to be the wrong situation for this particular one. Caveat that to the next one: we turn left instead of we turn right. We drop our torps, we don't drop our torps. Blah blah blah. There were so many. There's so many different things, and actively there's maybe one streamer that I know of that actively does it all the time in every game, and that's probably Oni the Wicked. He does that. It just constantly. I do it every once in a while. I know, Hammer, you do it every once in a while as well, but
yeah.
for the most part, I don't do it unless somebody's asking me specifically, hey, can you figure out what's going on? And then I know after I die or something like that, I know I'll take a step back. Okay, guys, let's take a step back. So I went here, I was on this island, blah, blah, blah. And then I analyze my thoughts there. Okay, what should I have done different? What was I not paying attention to? Where was everything else on the board in relation to me? And then, that's how you get better at this game.
There's also another impediment, and that is playing in division, because this game is the most enjoyable when played in a 3-man or 2-man division. So when you're talking to your teammates and you're making up a plan and or you're reacting to something, it's hard to also explain what you're doing exactly yourself, what's your thought, and also talk to your team. So you have to have like a double conversation with your teammates and with the chat about what your group is doing and what you are doing individually. So that can sometimes be a problem.
All right, there. That's one of those. I agree. I agree. And figuring out what you're doing compared to what the rest of your team's doing, what you should be doing compared to what your team is doing. Now, if they're all sitting back in a freaking one line and they're all in a cuddle puddle and they're just sitting there, there's really what can you do? There's not much you
Yeah.
can do. Just have to try to survive as long as possible. And now with the new CVs out there, the DDs are man, they're struggling. They're struggling. And now let me ask this question to everybody in the chat. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about what we're talking about, go ahead and leave your comments there in the section below on the YouTube, or leave it here in the chat at SirVenomIK, at one of the mods, or at hammerald, and we'll address those toward the end of the show during the Q&A session. Um, do you think that the CVs are just ridiculously overpowered right now, or do you think that the destroyer players out there need to rethink how they're playing the DD, or is it a
I
combination of both?
I think that is the CV versus DD interaction is a pretty whew,
It's a wide open.
dangerous. Yeah,
It's a hard
it's a
topic.
yeah, they took like a huge leap because you can have no trouble playing DD in a CV game. You can have absolutely no trouble playing DD in a CV game, or you can make a slight mistake and your game might become really, really hard right from the start.
Yeah,
We've played yesterday. I've played my DD, since I played my DD close to the Cleveland. I had no freaking issues with the CV.
yeah.
I kept next to my Cleveland. I moved with the Cleveland. The CV came close to me. My A was off. As soon as he got like 4 kilometers from me, as soon as the A from the Cleveland started popping some planes, he went away. The planes were 4 kilometers from me. I had no issues. I wasn't spotted. I went in and I capped.
So
So what the CV does, it forces DD players to play a bit more passive and to try a little bit more of a teamwork kind of play where they sit next to a cruiser, they maybe smoke the cruiser and make that cruiser provide AA for them while they go in, they get the cap or they spot for the cruiser farms either planes or other ships. The DD just becomes a more supportive tool and yeah, it's just a little bit unfun to be a DD in this meta. Like you are no longer able to make those flank torpedo massacres where you go on a flank and then you launch your wall of skill from behind or from the side of the enemy fleet that never saw you for 15 minutes.
the Shimakaze
So
play or the Ashio play
yeah,
currently.
yeah, yeah. So it forces you to take account where your teammates are as a destroyer, especially the AA ships.
Now,
You should play
now
with an AA ship.
this kind of leads to into the next thing I had to ask about this is like, do you think that it's not only the destroyers that need to rethink how they're playing, but the cruisers and the battleships need to rethink how
Everybody.
they have to play? Because
Yeah, absolutely
you're sitting there
everybody.
saying, I'm like, I remember I was watching, I was in those games. I remember watching where you were having no problem. Our other DD was getting shit on because he was out there by himself.
Yeah,
The only question was is what was our Cleveland doing different than there? Well, he was up next to the cap. He was up
yeah,
supporting that cap. That's something that that a lot of people out there, the DDs, a lot of people want to give hang shit on the DDs for being terrible right now. Well, man, what about that fucking cruiser player? Why don't that cruiser player come up a little bit? There's islands generally around
yeah,
everything that you can at least play, and even if there's not an island actually in the cap, there's usually one Usually, there's special occasions. Usually, an island somewhere that you can beach yourself on, or hump that island.
Safe.
Like I think we were playing on Hotspot last night, and somebody was up on the other side of A from the top side, and it was a pain in the ass to try to get that. And you couldn't do anything with a CB because why? There was a Cleveland sitting right next to him. There was a DD in the cap, and they were overlapping. He was capping. He was actively capping that cap, but close enough to that to that cruiser to overlap that AA. And it made it very difficult for me to drop on him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not just the DDs that need to rethink about it. Maybe it's everybody that needs to rethink about the play style.
Well, coming back to that game, the other DD that got dropped instead of me because I was next to the Cleveland was also next to Baltimore. What did he do when the carrier came? He just took off from the Baltimore. He went like 5 kilometers away from the Baltimore. So the Lexington thought, okay, I'm gonna drop this guy. I'm 1 kilometer into Baltimore AA, which means I'm only gonna get hit by long range. I'm maybe gonna lose a plane, but I'm gonna take half of this DD's HP.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it did. Also, you have a smoke. You see a carrier coming, just use that smoke. I'm sorry, but I don't see every single DD out there at the end of the game, 19 minutes into the game, going, "Oh, I no longer have any smokes left."
It's
Usually
very
end up,
rare. I mean, most of the people they take the
yeah,
superintendent. I don't usually take superintendent because I don't usually go through all of the utility on the boat. Uh, there's rare cases like rank season. You'll see that. I'll burn through a lot of my stuff, but if I'm playing a DD in randoms, man, I try to save it as long as I possibly can. Maybe I need to be a little bit more free. Maybe it's time to think about taking off that vigilance, risking myself hitting torpedoes, and taking that superintendent.
that's one solution. Getting DDs more defensive tools, which would mean more smokes.
Yeah. Do you think that? I don't think that would solve the problem, honestly. I don't think
I
that's.
think,
I think it's a good solution. I mean, it's a good band-aid, but it doesn't solve the problem. The problem that a lot of DDs are having is that they feel like they're spotted the entire game. Now, if that CB wants to come over there and focus on that one guy, then what is he not doing across the rest of the map?
yeah, well, the CV is gonna focus spotting one DD while the other CV drops 10, 15, 20k off the fleet. So what are you going to do? You're gonna stay and spot the DD while the enemy carrier basically wrecks your team? No. You're gonna spot that DD, you're gonna be in AA, you're gonna see that he's in AA cover, you're gonna try to drop him once, lose half your fleet, and you're gonna be, screw that DD, I have better things to do. I'm not gonna do 3k to him and lose all my freaking planes. I'm
Right.
just gonna go farm some battleships, farm some cruiser, reset some caps.
Yep. I know if I had opportunities to take a drop on a DD, then I would take them. But for the most part, I was in there trying to whittle down the big damage dealers, the cruisers, the battleships. The
Yeah,
DDs are uh, a priority, but they're not a big priority for me when I play those. Spot them, drop them out there. If I can get a drop on them, I'm not going to try to drop torpedoes on them for the most part. But dive bombers. If I'm playing Americans, okay,
yeah,
fine. I might
yep,
drop on them because they hurt. They hurt good. Something fierce.
yep,
Whew,
yep,
it's
yep.
good stuff.
You
Uh,
can two-shot the DD
mm,
with the Lexington. It's fun. It's fun when you see that DDs just don't understand. You see a drop, freaking smoke, man. Freaking smoke. British DDs just go out there, try to walk in a line and see a carrier coming in with a drop and they just don't smoke. You got 6 of them. Just waste one.
yeah. Protect yourself. You know,
Yeah,
protect yourself. And then hey man,
exactly.
bait out that fucking radar too. If you have to,
Yeah,
bait out that radar.
smoke
Whatever. I
when
mean,
you
that
see the planes
radar's a
coming
whole
in
nother
from
thing.
yeah.
Radar's a whole nother thing that they talked about. That they talked about. Anyway, we bar. Any other news out there that you would like to talk about, man?
Ooh,
I know there's a
news
lot
out
of
there.
news. Well, I mean, there's news, and then we
Dude, we
have
have
like light news. I mean, if it's something that we're going to talk about here in a second, you know what I mean.
we probably have the most intense week in World of Warships news, new stuff coming out in the past 2, 3 years. Like we got new ships,
Yep.
2 lines,
2 lines.
Russian DD,
Mm-hmm.
Russian BBs,
Yep.
French DDs.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a new event coming up for the Russian battleships, a
Yep.
competition like the Sharks versus Eagles. We have a new port, we have new premiums, we have new mechanic with the iceberg.
Space battles.
We have, yeah, with the icebergs, yeah, exactly. Then we have the destructible islands and stuff. Then
Destructible
we
islands,
have,
man.
yeah,
Let's talk. Let's
yeah.
dip into that. Let's dip into
Well,
destructible thing. Now, this is something that we said months and months ago here on the channel. One of these days, we're gonna have a freaking game mode where I can shoot through the freaking rock, and I can take my Atlanta and hump over behind this thing, and I can just shoot through that rock, and then I'm safe. I ain't got to worry about. Getting hit anymore. That was just a pop off, comment, but motherfuckers, they found a way to put it in the goddamn game.
yeah, well, in real life history, uh, destroying ice was one of the ways to fight the war. Even during the First World War, the Second World War, there were icebreakers. There were ships that used to just break ice to get to the enemy. That's what we're doing here at a more, I don't know, entertaining level. There'll probably be icebergs between the two
And
sides of the
points, maybe?
cap. Yeah.
Gotta
And
maybe
then
drop
the team
torpedoes into the iceberg, explode them, and then you can actually get into the camp.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. So you might use that destructible to leap shells over without getting spotted, or you're gonna destroy that iceberg and surprise the enemy with like your entire fleet waiting behind that wall of ice that just went down.
Holy shit, dude. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something. You put a CV on the other side of that with a plane on the other side of that island. Okay, guys, they can't see us. There's this iceberg that
Yeah.
covers up half of this cap. We're about to blow it up. Everybody fire now. Boom. And then they got to wait
Yep.
like 30 seconds, but then the smoke's going to clear and everything. The faster firing cruisers are just blasting in there. You got the Worcesters and you got the Seattles and the Demonis and the Kitakazes and the Harry Gumbos. They're just firing all up on this thing, man. And then that thing goes splitting to the side. CV spotting them on the other side of that shit. And then boom.
Beautiful.
Hey guys, what's going on, man? There's a DD right there. Kablow! He's dead.
Either
Talk about a
that
mid
or
run on Two Brothers, bro. I mean, like this is
what if
potential.
they put an iceberg world in the middle of Two Brothers and you have to take it down before you
God.
can rush mid?
Oh God!
That would be great.
Instead of $5 for a mid run, we're gonna take $10 because I got to pay for the freaking ammo to bust that thing down first.
Yep.
Fun and
Yeah.
exciting things. What do you think about destructible environment here? I know they try to do something with Bastion. Well, we're not going to go into Bastion, but the destructible environment is basically what that was. What do you think of their implementation this time around? Do you think obviously we'll have to see it in action? It's just kind of rumor mills right now.
I've tested it.
Yeah, can
I've
you? Yeah,
tested
well,
it.
if you can't talk about it, don't talk about it because I don't want to
I
get you in
cannot
trouble.
talk about it, but I've tested it. All I can tell you is what they've told you already. The fact that the wall of ice doesn't have an HP pool, you cannot see it. So it could be a random HP pool from the start. It could be, I don't know, 100,000 or 500,000 damage. So when you see it collapse, you gotta be ready. You might never know when it starts collapsing. It starts cracking, and then you hear the noise and it collapses. And it might be after 5 shots, or it might be after 25 shots. So when you see it collapse, just get freaking ready.
Get ready or get out of there.
Yeah,
Some of these things,
exactly.
when it starts cracking, man, I can just imagine. Yeah, there I am with my battleship. I was sitting next to this thing. Next thing I know, crack. What the fuck? What's going on? I start hitting my gas. Well, guess what, guys? I was playing in Colorado. I don't go very fast. And then the iceberg comes around and takes off half your hit points.
And Leonardo's holding her in front of the ship. I'm the king of the world. Blap. Block of ice kills him.
The whole new Kraken achievement. There you go. I got you, bro. I saw that, Rob. That was a good one. So there you go. So that's not too bad. Let's go into some of these new ship designs here. Well, before we do that, guys, we're hanging out with my man over here. His name is Hammerald. Let's do a couple of questions of averageness here. You ready for these questions, man? Let's help these
Yeah,
people out
sure.
there in the chat
Shoot.
get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Number one, how did you find World of Warships?
Ooh. How did I find World of Warships? Well, I was a member of now decayed Romanian Army of Maniacs clan, it's called. There was over 500 something members, and the guys that I was most familiar with made a switch from Counter-Strike and other shooting games to World of Tanks, and soon after, straight to World of Warships. We all made accounts in the first game that the game was released. But at that time, I think my transition, me being the youngest member, was kind of incomplete because the game seemed, me coming from Counter-Strike, the game seemed like slow and clunky to me.
Hmm.
So I was the youngest one and the first one that quit after like a week. Gave my account to my cousin, and then I got it back from him when he quit on Christmas of 2017 because he didn't have any more time. He convinced me that the game was much better, so I tried it, and it stuck, and it didn't feel so slow and clunky anymore. Probably because I got slower and clunkier, with age. So now I
So
was,
it
now
was
I'm
brought it
ready.
was brought down to your speed there.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
so you've been playing the game for quite a while now. Then what did you decide? What made you decide? What was your motivation to start doing a show? Doing here? You're relatively new. Twitch.tv/hammerald. What made you decide
Well,
to do it?
my opinion that the game is in a quite decent state now. The mechanics are good. The diversity of ships and play styles that you can do with those ships is absolutely great. There are things still being worked on, but the game is good. And the only problem that I feel is plaguing this game is uh, the player base.
Player base.
Yeah, yeah. I see more people interested in playing the game right, and the people that want to learn and want to take advantage of what they learn. And like, I feel like a lot of the streamers are doing a good job helping out the guys in need of guidance. But there are some out there that are actually dumbing the player base, and I just want to help to tip the balance even heavier for the first group, Just want the
Like-minded
first group
individual
to,
there. That's what we try
yeah,
to do
yeah.
here is try to help out. Maybe give somebody a little bit of different thinking of what they're going on. Maybe a different mentality of what they're used to.
I, I,
Maybe it'll help them. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
I know it's possible because I was, I just started the game, and in 2 weeks, Um, some of my clan members, I joined a random clan, and some of my clan members told me like, "Dude, you're a really competitive guy because you come from a gaming background. Why don't you go to a big clan and try out there? Because you're playing with us and it's not fitting. You're trying to communicate with us, and we're here with our beer, and we're like, "Oof, oof, yeah, left," and it didn't work out.
Right.
So I randomly asked the first clan in, and it was one of the biggest clans in Europe. Were gaming pay to win. They took me in even if I had no clue about the game. It was just my attitude that was okay. I had no ships. I had only the Shimakaze. And they took
But you
me from zero.
played the
They
hell
took me
out of
from
that.
scrap, and yeah, they just turned me into a good player. My win rate has is now around 77 something percent, only because I got tutored by these guys. Like, I couldn't have done anything by myself. Like, nothing.
I know it's
Literally nothing.
got a similar story. People came in the channel the first couple of days that I started streaming World of Warships, and it was like, "Yo, you suck," and I was like, "I don't know. I've been playing for 2 days. Anybody want to come play with me and teach me?" And they were like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's nothing to be go in there and play. Pay attention, man. Stuff like that. Being a new streamer, what do you hope to gain from
Ooh.
streaming?
I'm here for the fame and the army of hot women that follow it, of course.
There you go. I mean,
Wait,
aren't we all though?
what?
I mean, that's a thing.
That isn't how things go? What?
That's sarcasm, boys.
Yeah, I didn't get the memo on Twitch or the terms of service, so now I'll keep streaming because, well, the women are gone obviously now. So I'll just keep streaming because I actually feel good connecting with people from all over the world.
Hmm.
And doing that with the help of video games and Twitch, I find that awesome. For the guys that don't know, I'm from Romania. It's a Latin country. There's only 5 out there. We're not Russians. We have no connection with the
There's
Russian
only
language.
5 Romanians left. That's what I heard.
5 Latin languages.
5 Latin languages. There you
Yeah. So we have nothing to do with the Russians, and yeah, I feel like I'm connecting with people from all over the world. Gaming has taught me so much about the world. I hope to, by streaming, I actually hope to gain, I don't know, people and friends I can share good and bad moments, especially bad moments, to be honest.
go. Average moments, man. Them average moments,
Funny
bro.
and
Yeah.
salty plays, fails and success, game or real life opinions, especially opinions. Yeah, I like to hear opinions. And I feel like Twitch makes it easy for me to get all that with just a few, I don't know, hours a day and a double click.
All right. What do you say would make you? What makes you different from myself or any of the other guys? Say if Zipshot wanted to start up a show, what makes you different between us? To differentiate yourself. Why should they come watch you?
Well, I am a Romanian vampire
Blah
playing
blah
World of
blah.
Warships. If that doesn't make me stand out, I don't know what the fuck is. Well, I'm definitely new, and the things that will probably make me stand out are still to be shown and proven. But I see myself as a, I don't know, smart guy and a smart player, willing to chat and opinate about whatever I do in game. I will listen to, I like to listen to what people tell me about. I never get salty about people telling me what I did right, what they liked, and what they didn't like.
When do
I
people tell you
also,
they did something right though? That's rare.
yeah, yeah. Well, people sometimes, yeah, they compliment you on stuff. And I also stream a lot of, I'll stream trainings and clan battles, especially because I'm the fleet commander for this great European clan. So you will hear me give orders. So for those of you that want to get into competitive and you don't know how to do it, I've been commanding teams in games for over 18 years now. Wargaming is like the 10th game that I get to run teams. And yeah, you can get some insight of what you need to do as an FC to just gather 6 of your friends and play clan battles uh, in a fun and quite successful environment.
Quite successful is always key there. All
Yep,
right,
yep.
just a few more questions here. Who influences you as a person to make that next step into whatever you think is necessary to go to that next level? Albeit a book, a movie, a show, a person, anything.
I
Photograph.
think abso freaking lutely everyone that encourages me to keep going. Like no matter how hard things may look, getting encouraged feels amazing. And well, you're one of the people that influenced me to start streaming. In real life, I would say that if I have a super freaking hero, should be my mother, who's a vicious, ambitious, ruthless creature, really smart, that always gets whatever the fuck she wants. Just because she's she never gets no for an answer, or she never believes no to be
She never takes no for an answer.
an answer.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, yeah. She never takes no for an answer.
Right on. Well, being a new streamer, were there any tips that you followed, any guidelines that you followed that you'd like to share for anybody else that would like to journey off into the world of Twitch streaming?
Well, just first of all, uh, understand that you need to start doing it. And once you start doing it, the second step is that you need to understand that you need to keep doing it.
Start
You
doing it and keep
cannot,
doing it.
yeah, you cannot take breaks, like serious breaks. You're gonna just end up hurting yourself. You just keep doing it. You don't have to put huge effort into it. It's not an effort you're playing anyway. Keep doing it until Twitch sends you a message to stop and that you're already number one. Then they give you a golden statue and you can go on a vacation. That's when you actually stop. Just start doing it and keep doing it, and it will probably all come out dandy in the end. And be yourself.
Be yourself. That's right.
Or put out a really good act. Become like a dean of average or something and just
Have a
stick
gimmick.
to it.
That's all a gimmick,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
We are 100%. The show has taken on a life of its own here at twitch.tv/ServantMIK. But we've
Yeah.
we've been accused. Well, I don't know if it's an accusation or not, but I go into another guy's channel, my man Neo Vulcan. He calls me a Twitch actor. 100% professional Twitch actor is what he calls me, and I'm like,
True that.
well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, because we are performing, and even if we are being ourselves, we are being ourselves in front of everybody. And if
At
anybody has
work,
ever
I
met
am.
me or met me in real life, they know that I'm exactly the same here as I am at home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's no different. So I guess I'm playing
It's
myself.
not like in real life I'm Billy. I work in a supermarket but on stream I am hammerald. I smash people with my uh digital weapons, and yeah. Nah, I'm a badass in front of the computer. No,
Keyboard
not on
warrior.
Twitch, boys. It doesn't work on Twitch.
And for somebody out there that may or may not know, give them a new tip here for a new player tip here for somebody's new, somebody that's not new. Maybe give them your biggest tip here for World of Warships.
Tips for new players regarding ships or
Just in
just
general,
the
just
game
in
in general?
general, not necessarily ships, just a general statement, general tip.
In
Here,
general,
for example, my biggest one is to pay attention to the mini map. That's my number one tip.
yeah, my biggest advice would be to look at some videos about the general stuff in the game, like the videos that you make, Venom. Look at those, see if the game is for you. Don't put 2,000-3,000 games into this and then realize, well, this is hard. How the hell is this do not show full broadside thing? That's stupid. So look at some videos, read some wiki stuff about the ship lines, take maybe 1 hour, just 1 hour of your time to look at I don't know, the line of ships that you like, and save thousands of wasted games to understand the same thing that you would understand in 1 hour, but you want to do it through the grinding method.
Yeah. Sometimes learning the
Yeah.
hard way is somebody
Yes,
learning the hard way is well, that's the hard way. But sometimes the hard way is the best
that's
way.
what's
I think.
called the
I think.
hard way.
Yeah. I think that you can alleviate some of the learning process by going to the YouTube, going to the community contributors, going to these Twitch streamers, and just flinging out all kinds of questions, whether you think they're stupid or not. And probably some of the questions are
Yeah,
stupid, but that's
doesn't
fine.
matter.
Doesn't matter. Just ask them because somebody
If
out
it
there
helps
is
you.
more than willing to answer those. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there you go. I mean, it's always a good thing. So there you go, boys. Do you
Take
feel a little bit more average there, Hammer?
just one thing. They need to understand that you should take this game as they want to, either as fun focused or competitive focused experience. Just try to understand that the game has a very high learning curve. It might seem easy at the start, but it has a really high learning curve to be like really or good at it, not really good at it, to be good at it, to be average at it. It has a high learning curve. And you need some research to avoid getting blasted and spammed with insults, which is the worst thing because the community is quite salty. This is a mature community and they will be salty.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will
Yeah.
a lot. And I
Yeah,
used
just
to.
disable chat.
I'm guilty of that. I know Hammer's guilty of that. I know there's a lot of other
Yeah,
people out there that are guilty of being about that salty in that chat, and then there's also other people out there that are salty for no reason, and they just want
yeah.
to be salty. And trying to
Come back from work.
differentiate between the two of those is always difficult. So anyway,
You come back from work. Yeah,
yeah.
of course. There are thousands of people that come back from work and they just want to relax, and then you ruin their first 20 minutes by doing something stupid. They can't love you for it, man. Just can't.
Not at all. So when I asked you to come onto the podcast, I asked you to take a ship and spotlight a particular ship. Tell us what you think about it. What you think? Why you think people should play it? Why do you think it's good? Why do you think it's bad? What ship did you choose?
I think you're gonna like this. I chose the Salem.
The Salem. Now this is a
Yeah.
Tier 10 American premium cruiser that you could get with coal
Yes.
out of the arsenal or armory now. So
Yeah.
tell us about the Salem. Why did you choose the Salem over any of the other boats?
Well, I think first of all, it's quite affordable ship for the coal price in Arsenal. A ship you can decide if you like, you can get quite early, and you can decide if you're top tier material, like you can play at top tiers. Just try a few games in the Salem. If you feel overwhelmed, just go back and learn the game more. I say that because it's a ship where you can go get a bit smashed at high tiers, but you can like recover because of its special repair party. Uh, and that's really helpful for a new player that plays high tiers. It's really helping them to see how the experience is, because there are pretty good players out there at tier 10, and yeah, you should see if you match up. The Salem is a good ship to try and match up. It's overall really well balanced.
I agree with that.
And regarding the play style, uh, why I like the Salem in particular is because I love ambushing ships. Like I love the Des Moines, I love the Salem, I love ships that just pop from behind an island and take advantage of your misposition. Either you're a DD, a cruiser, a battleship, whatever ship you're in, the Des Moines popping next to you is a problem. It doesn't matter what ship you are, if the Des Moines pops next to you and yeah, she's got your
Obviously,
full broadside, you're in deep doo doo.
all right. So break it down for us here. This is a Des Moines class cruiser with 8.5 kilometer radar that lasts for however long it lasts. Really,
Yeah,
the
of course.
same guns as the Des Moines, same armor scheme. Everything's pretty much the same except for that radar.
Yep.
I know I've had some success playing the Salem as a long range boat, and
Yeah.
if I have to tank anything, then I can bow up, and it'd be few. There's a few battleships out there that can overmatch the bow, but not many. I think
Yeah.
the
Plus,
Yamato Republic, Musashi, probably about the only ones. Maybe the 457 Conqueror, but with that short fuse AP, I'm not sure. Either way,
uh, it's a good ship for ambushing, and it's a good ship for brawling other cruisers. Like, what you want to do is get close to a cruiser. Don't start shooting when he's at 15 kilometers or more. You don't want your shells to take a week to hit it. Just get into 10 kilometers from him and just spam that ship with AP or HE according to whatever angle he's got. You have a repair that repairs 48% of your total HP in one use.
oh, that's nuts.
That's nuts. Because, well, you repair like a Minotaur, but you're 5, 10 times as tanky because of your armor and yeah.
And those
So
guns aren't too
there is
bad either, man.
no, the
The
guns
guns are
aren't.
really good. The AP on the
Yeah,
Americans, especially starting at something like the Pensacola. Like everybody gives the Pensacola such a hard time. Those 203s, I believe they're 203s, but anyway,
yeah.
they're monster AP shells, monster
The
AP.
shells get better and better. Like the shells in the tier 9 and tier 10 are special AP shells.
Well, we
They're
saw that
super heavy 203s. That's what you call them.
super heavy 203s, and
Yeah,
I think that's indicative of what we saw last week when we talked about the results of the number one ships for the last rank season was the Buffalo for the cruisers.
yeah,
Most played,
yeah.
probably one of the tankiest. So maybe the Rune is different, but I think in that particular situation, the Rune just really didn't fit. But
No, no.
well, we're
Rune is a
talking.
kite away kind of ship.
But back to the Salem. Any negative downsides to the play in the Salem?
Yeah. The strong sides are also its downsides. You may end up in brawling positions. So when you're brawling something, you always need to check your other
Surroundings.
vicinity, your ships, the other ships in your vicinity, because you might get sucked into the brawling. You might be destroying that ship in front of you, but you might get your flanks exposed because you will be pretty close to the enemy fleet when you're brawling something. So you need to really be aware of the minimap when you engage in a brawl.
I've always found the Des Moines and Salem pretty useful holding flanks.
Yeah,
Holding a
yeah,
cap or not necessarily holding a cap, but defending a cap with number one with its radar, especially Des Moines with its 10-kilometer radar, and then the 8.5-kilometer radar makes it a little bit risky for the Salem to push into a cap, but holding a corner, I would say holding a corner probably more suits this boat. Waiting for people to come around than just knocking the hell out of them as they do come around. Or if you have to push out a little bit, you can push out as long as you have some of your sides covered. You should be fine. To do some, you might probably ended up dying anyway because you've having to push out on these people. But you're gonna it's gonna take them a while to rip you down.
takes 12, 13 salvos of the Salem well-placed salvos to kill a Yamato. 12 of these salvos mean a minute. If the Yamato doesn't kill you in 2 salvos, you kill him. That's that's scary. No matter what battleship you're in, if you don't finish the Salem coming at you from 7, 8 kilometers,
It hurts you.
and especially if he's got like an island and he caught you with your guns on the other side, you're kind of in trouble, no matter what ship you're in.
No matter what ship you're in. So you recommend people grinding out the coal for this, for the
Yeah,
Salem?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good ship to test your metal.
Do you think what kind of all right? So we're talking about testing your metal. What about the Salem? What about the Salem do you think would appeal for people that don't technically have that? To sell this ship to me, sell it, man.
It's an all-round cruiser. You can play it as an open water HE spammer. You can play it as an ambush ship. You can play it as a supportive ship, even if its radar may seem, I don't know, short range. It can still be really useful. It's a ship that can do them all. It's a jack of all
There
trades
you go.
with incredibly fun styles of play.
I've always enjoyed this particular play style. So there you go, guys. Go grab the Salem. Check it out. It's a pretty good boat. I like it. I think it's the most balanced boat with radar because you have to actually risk something to get that radar to be fully effective. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoy the Salem if you guys do have it. If you don't have it, maybe you try it. Or if you do have it and you don't play it, then hey man, go back over there and take another hard look at it because it is a fantastic boat and I do enjoy this one myself. All right, moving on
Yep.
into last minute thoughts on the Salem before we move on into our first topic of the day.
Well, just remember that you get the Salem and then you realize what the Des Moines is, and you don't longer need to grind that entire American cruiser line. You may like it or you may not like it. So
Either
don't need
way,
to,
you're going to
yeah,
figure it
yeah,
out right there.
yeah. If you want to grind to the Des Moines or just go for the Worcester.
All right, so here we go. Also, Salem is a fantastic cruiser trainer. Fantastic
Yeah,
cruiser trainer. If you guys are going up that line and y'all actually do have the Salem, higher the better when it comes to those. I mean, like, what else are you gonna do? Wichita, if you got a Wichita, if you got a Boise, some of the other like an Indianapolis. I mean, all of these boats are good trainers, but you can get the most experience
Salem.
out of that tier 10. So take that into consideration when looking forward. So
Plus credits.
yeah,
It
credits is a
makes
good thing.
pretty decent credits.
Yeah. All right, so they released some information, question and answering portion, and I believe I'm not sure how this Reddit thread came about, but I wanted to highlight a couple of these questions that were asked to Sub Octavian and some of its answers moving forward. Some of these
Yep.
questions we'll just jump right into it, and you guys can kind of get the feel. If you guys want to look at these questions on your own, I will leave it in the comment section below for you guys over on YouTube, or if you guys are here over on twitch.tv/servanmik, there's the Reddit link right there. You guys can go search through all these questions yourself. But there was a couple of them that I wanted to highlight, and then we can discuss and talk about these questions at the same time. We're hanging out with my man hammerald. You guys can hit him up over on his Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerald. Fantastic. All right, so the first question that I found that was interesting to me, or piqued my interest, was what is Wargaming's opinion about the matchmaker? Are you happy with how it works, or are changes coming? Personally, I mostly stopped playing Tier 8 because of the horrible matchmaking. Same goes for Tier 5. It's really a shame because some of my favorite ships are at Tier 8, and being bottom tier at Tier 8 out of 8 out of 10 times is not fun. What do you think about matchmaker before I get to the answers?
I think that tier 8 ships should go nowhere near tier 10 ships. I'm sorry to say that. Wargame you might not approve, but a Des Moines into 3 Clevelands, I would give it to the Des Moines versus 3 Clevelands.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's just too much.
I know for
some ships at tier 10 are absolute monsters. All ships at tier 10 are absolute monsters compared to the tier 8 counterparts.
Right.
Yes, you can do damage. Yes, you can do good. Yes, you can do a lot of stuff even with a tier 8 ship in a tier 10 game. We know that. We do that all the time. Still, you make one mistake and there's no coming back.
I know we've always had this. I've had this big disagreement with the boat called Mogami, and it had nothing to do with the boat itself. It had to do with the matchmaking and the map that I was on. It was on Tears of the Desert 70% of the time, or 60% of the time I was on Tears of the Desert, and then 70% of that time I was under tiered. I was bottom tier, and the times where. And then when it struggled, I'll be fully admitted, I struggled like crazy trying to play through that boat. But when we would get on something like Land of Fire or Islands of Ice or North or anything like that, I did very well because it was map dependent and matchmaking dependent.
And now it's even harder.
Now it's even harder
because you shoot, and for 20 seconds you're visible, no matter if you cross an island that was in front of you. That was the kind of style that you would play before with ships like that, with ninja strikes, where you just start shooting when you're 12 kilometers away from the target. You launch your torpedoes that maybe he can eat if he pushes into you, and then you just shoot until you get out of your range because you're pretty fast as a Japanese cruiser, and he cannot really catch up with you.
Yeah.
But in tier 10, he can shoot you. Yeah. He needs to shoot you like twice, and you don't want to do that again. That was your only attack on that ship.
Yeah, pretty much. So the answer to this was in 2 parts. The first part says it. This is Sub-Octavian replying to this. We are not happy, and the changes are hopefully coming. I think that I commented a lot on this, and here's the recent example from 2 weeks ago. I'll just copy paste it. Here's its full relevance. Here is the comment. Look, I know it's a problem. I'm not gonna paint this gold. So matches hurt. I'm sorry for this unpleasant experience, especially if it matches appear for you more often. We are working on a couple of potential solutions. As soon as I have the confirmation from the programmers who implement them, yes, it's in dev plan and design has already been done. There will be publications with details solving the issue. Unfortunately, it's not an easy. Solving the issue is not easy. All easy solutions are not really viable at the moment. I've discussed several times, including this subreddit. There is nothing that can be done quickly without hurting a portion of the player base. But I also want you to know that it is acknowledged an issue with high priority for us, that we're not going to abandon it. Basically, it's saying there is something in line and something has been planned. You just have to be patient to get it, and we're just going to suffer for a little bit longer until it is.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this?
Well, some ships are prepared for tier 8, and I understand that some players play tier 8 ships with the will to get into tier 10. They actually want to get a tier 10 match. They want more hardcore experience. I get that. I'm one of those players. When I play the Cossack, I think, dude, I would like a tier 10 game.
Yeah, Cossack's great.
Yeah, you
Cossack.
make more money with the Cossack.
There's some boats that are easier up tiered than others. Now,
Yeah,
not to say that every boat struggles at tier 10. That's not the case. I mean, North Carolina is probably the one boat out of that entire battleship line that I have no problem going up to tier 10 in.
yeah. North
I
Carolina, Alabama doesn't have an issue because they have tier 10 guns, tier 10 shells. Alabama has tier 10 torpedo belt protection. So yeah, of course they do well. But if you put something like the Japanese tier 8 battleship,
the
that's more of a
Amagi.
battle cruiser.
No,
Yeah, you need to play like a Mogami almost.
you need to
You
play
need
long
to
range. Yeah.
like a yeah,
Uh,
either long range or just keep being unspotted until you're flanking. You're sure you're flanking and you don't get focused because your team is the enemy team is fighting your team on some other angles, and you then only then you can start shooting because otherwise, well, you're gonna shoot twice and you're gonna need two salvos from a Montana or a Yamato and you're done. Your game is over.
Right. It goes even deeper than that because every person out there, I have different experience than Hammer does. You beautiful people in the chat have different experience than every other person in the chat. So some people might be finding it okay that they're at tier 8, tier 10 all the time. So people can't cope with that. And honestly, I think that they would lower the tier 8s down a little bit more. It would make tier 8 a more pleasant grind because that is a long grind from tier 8 to 9 and even longer from
Yep.
9 to 10. So if we look at it grinding wise, well, I mean, if you're at tier 10 all the time, how does that affect the time that you're actually at, in that particular boat? Maybe you don't enjoy that boat and it takes you forever. And every little bit of grinding that you do and you're in tier 10, it just grinds on you even more to where you despise that particular boat. It's kind of the case what happened with the Mogami with me. I can't stand it.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
if I was going to play something at tier 8, it's not going to be that boat. I don't specifically choose that boat to go play because my experience with it is terrible. So,
That's why you have no game in the Zao because the Mogami just did it for you. Come on. And if the Mogami would have been a good boat, you probably had hundreds of games in the Zao, hundreds of
just
thousands of experience in the Zao, but you don't. You have no games because the Mogami is a freaking struggle 70% of the time.
right.
Tier 10 games,
So my understanding of the way
nothing to do.
matchmaking worked back when the game first started, back in the alphas, back in the betas, back when early release, there was not a lot of people who had tier 10s. There was not a lot of
Yep.
people to have tier 10s. And the reason that the matchmaking is what it is now is because of there was not that much, they had to give priority to tier 10 players as a reward. So okay, fine, you guys, we got the tier 10. Now we can't get a goddamn game because it's not pulling us first. So they decided to pull from tier 10 first. Now that was good back then and it worked back then and it was effective back then. Nowadays, it's not effective anymore because 90% of the people have a tier 10. Or
Yep.
maybe not that much, but you get the point. There's a majority of the people that are playing at the tier 8, 9, and 10, so they're still pulling for tier 10s first and then pulling from tier 10s second or third.
And there's a solution.
And there is a solution that they announced at Anchor's Way at Anaheim. I know I've been over this before, is that they were looking at swapping that around where it would pull from tier 8s first, then 9s, and then 10s. Now, does that
Yep.
actually solve the problem? We don't know. It has never been implemented yet. Do you think it will solve the problem?
I think it will solve half the problem at least. Another problem is the fact that it's no longer punishing to be a complete potato in tier 9 and 10. So you can play tier 9 and 10, spam it, and nothing will happen to your credit reserve. That's probably the main issue. People spam tier 10 now, so they no longer play a lot of tier 8s where, the big money used to be made before with the Loyang and the other premium ships. Before the tier 9 and tier 10 premium ships, you used to make money with the tier 8 premium ships. You used to make money with the Kutuzov. You used to make money with the
The
Loyang.
Otago. Holy crap, the
The
Otago is still
Otago.
great. It's
Yeah,
still great
the
money
premium
maker.
ships at tier 8 were for making money. So people now make money while being awful, goddamn awful at tier 9 and 10. I would make the tier 10 and tier 9 punishing for people that don't really have a clear view on how the game should be played, so that they cannot just spam it and have their fun playing tier 10 games and making life rough for tier 8 ships who, even if they are better players or they're grinding, they get just a bad experience because they're matched with these tier 10 ships.
I know as we were playing the other day, and I've noticed a trend. I've noticed a lot of trends here lately, and it's starting to get a little more and more prevalent the more we play, and the more we're actually paying attention to this. Obviously, the more you pay attention to something, the more you actually realize that it's there. There's been a lot of games lately where it's not very much even. It's like all tier 10s and then like one tier 8. And
Yeah,
I know we're playing in divisions, and we usually don't stupid div or what are the fail div. We don't fail div
yep.
generally, and we move on into the factor where there is 9 tier 10 ships and 3 tier 8 boats,
And we're the tier 8s.
and we're the tier 8s. I see that a lot lately, and it is
Yep.
very frustrating for me. I'm like, well, fuck. Now I have to really be on my game if we're going to try to win this thing. Hopefully, that we can do whatever we can to survive the game, to make an impact on the game, and just be effective as a player. I mean, it's very hard when the matchmaking is dictating you that you're going to be down tiered and you're going to be at a disadvantage from the get go. So I'd be happy to see what they do with the matchmaking moving forward to this. But hey man, it's we have to just kind of take them at their word here, because there's really no
Yeah.
checks and balances here, which is fine with me. I mean, it's their company; they don't have to tell us shit. And be like, hey, this is what we're doing, and you accept it. CB rework.
They are focused on taking care of these kind of issues. Like Sub Octavian had also like a nervous breakdown from all the
All the
slack
negative,
that, yeah, all the negative things that people gave the developers just because they weren't doing the things that they wanted to do.
right?
In the end, it's their product, and they know that they have to make a good product for the players. The players are the guys that, in the end, pay for their jobs. They do know that. You don't need to remind them that your Didi sucks and the Yui Yang sucks, and they've made like an awful change in the game that ruined your life. Well, it's ruining their lives as well. They're trying to make this game better for everyone. The fact that you cannot play your Yui Yang now means that 100 other people can play their DDs now. So
So wait a second,
in the end,
there's other
they're probably
information.
gonna buff the Yui Yang back. They're gonna do something about it, but they had to do something right then with the Yang. Like right then, they had to do something because apparently it was overperforming.
I honestly don't think that the Yu Yang is not as strong as it used to be. Period. That
Yeah,
let's call that out there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the Yu Yang, I'm sure that there's numbers out there that says that it's right in the middle of the pack now.
yeah, yeah.
It's
There
not
are
the worst. It's still not the
players.
worst. It's still not the worst damage. It's still right in the middle. It's right in the middle of the pack. I'm sure that there's numbers out there that shows that
Yeah,
it's right there, and it's people not wanting to play it because it's not overpowered anymore. You guys want overpowered chips. We discussed
yeah.
that last week. How
It
they
went.
don't want the balance. They don't. Players out there do not want the balance. They want the overpoweredness of the boats, and there are things that they can. I'm going to assume that there's things that they can do to buff the Yu Yang, an outright buff to it, but to buff it ever so slightly to where it's not back to where it was before, because it was a little strong according to the
Yeah,
numbers. There's the reasons
yeah,
why they said that they nerfed it, and so what do? I mean, they leave it until it's necessary.
yeah,
Leave it where it is, because I actually think that I think it's right in the middle of the damage numbers, if I recall.
yeah. It's no longer being played like a gearing mixed with, I don't know, gearing mixed with Z52, because that's what it was. It was a gearing with radar. It could brawl you and spot you in your smoke, and yeah. Now it's more of a shimakaze, and if you take that radar, you better have backup. You better have backup when you're using that radar because you no longer can abuse the radar and the
Mhm.
enemy smoking himself to just wreck him in his smoke. Because that was just too much. He smokes to protect himself, he smokes to gain
We,
an advantage, and you turn that into a disadvantage.
well, we saw how strong it was in those 2 Tier 10 rank seasons.
Yeah,
Those 2 tier
it
rank seasons, I don't know if you guys have any experience in the 2 tier rank seasons. The first rank season I ranked out in the Z52. The second one I ranked out in the Yang, and it was ridiculously good. If you had a team with you, if you had somebody that would roll with you, you were a fucking destroyer monster, just rolling around a rolling death squad for DDs. That's what you were looking for.
So you have good concealment, so you spot probably the enemy DD first. Your team shoots at him. You're no longer spotted. You're not spotted. Your team shoots at him. He has to smoke because he's perma spotted if he doesn't smoke. As soon as he smokes, what do?
Hit that radar.
Press the magic button,
You got another 20 seconds
and
of
he
action
appears
download.
to everybody.
Yeah. It was pretty good. All right, moving on to the next question here. Now we talked about matchmaking. Now let's talk about CV matchmaking. The question: will you change the matchmaker so we not have to, so that we will not have 2 or even 3 CVs in a single battle anymore? Any plans on when that change will happen? What are your thoughts on 2 and 3 CVs in a game? Well, number one, I've only seen 3 CVs at tier 4. I haven't seen them at tier 6. I haven't seen them at tier 8. I have not seen them at tier 10. If I have seen them, I think I've seen maybe 10 games, if that, over the course of however many I've played at tier 5 and 4. Maybe 10 games, if that, with 3 CVs. So I really don't think 3 CVs is a problem. Double CVs at tier 10 is a problem. That's a big problem.
Especially
tier 8,
two tier 10.
Yeah.
2 tier 10 CVs each team.
2 midways. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck. Fuck
God.
you. I don't want to play that
And
game.
what if they coordinate and they talk to each other and say, "Hey, drop what I drop"?
Yeah.
You're gone. They just choose a ship and that ship is just gone. Getting dropped 8 times by torpedoes. Hello.
Yeah. So here's the answer. Removing 3 at all tiers except for 4 at least is very possible, which limit to 1. There is an issue, and that is connected with how complex the matchmaking actually is. Something that a lot of us don't see. He's referring to us. I don't see the matchmaking. The problem with that is if, for example, we introduce a 1 CV limit to tier 10 at the moment, there will be more battles of 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5 with 1 CV from time to time. Even during the prime times, which number of CVs in the queue can fluctuate. And slightly increase the tier 10 CV popularity, it will make things worse. Matchmaking with the players in the queue is bound to launch a battle after some time no matter what. CV should always be mirrored, and which adds to the problem. And not even I am ready to wait 2 seconds longer. It's about waiting for several minutes and then having a 5 versus 5 battle with 1 CV. Sorry, but it's not easy, and for now we're inclined to just go down the 2 CV hard limit. I don't see us setting 1 CV even at tier 10 unless the popularity drops a bit, and which honestly is not desirable, as the CV current popularity is at lower borders of the target zone. I would also add that working on a CV and AA balance, which we will do to contribute to the situation. In other words, having 2 CVs per team is not bad because of the number itself, but rather there's some irritating situations that come from a ship versus ship, a class versus class interaction. Oh, man. This is loaded right here, bro. This is such a loaded topic right here. They're flat out saying that we're not pulling.
It's a gunpowder keg, man.
He's flat out saying that we are not going to remove 2 CVs from the tier 10s. So we're just going to have to adapt and deal with it. It's basically long and short of it.
I wouldn't remove 2 CVs from tier 10. I would just make it mandatory that there's a 1 tier 10 and 1 tier 8 maximum. You cannot have 2 tier 10s. Also, if you have a tier 8 game, why not make it 1 tier 8 and 1 tier 6?
Do you think that they? I'm sure they could program the matchmaker to do that, but how often do you actually think that they'll actually do that? I doubt it.
They should, because 2 tier 8 CVs in tier 8 games with tier 8, 7, and 6 ships is too much. 1 tier 8 CV is okay. One tier 8 and a tier 6 is okay. 2 tier 8s is too much. 2 tier 6 are also okay. 1 tier 8, 1 tier 6 is okay. 2 tier 8 is too much. 2 Lexingtons is too much. 1 Enterprise and 1 Shokaku is way too much.
Ugh, it's rough.
Just imagine 1 Enterprise and 1 Kaga.
Together. Dropping. Holding hands as they fly their planes down that beautiful 10 line. Coming around the corner. Hey, guess what? There's a DD there. You're screwed, bro.
Yeah.
You're
There
screwed,
was
bro.
a DD there.
No, there was a DD there. As we just wiped him off of the face of the map. Go back to port, my friend. Go back to port. So,
Tier 4s,
tier 4s
they
don't
can
care.
even have 3 CVs.
Yeah.
They can even have 3 CVs in the game. They do damage, but they're not impactful. They're more of a spotting thing. They don't have planes, fighters to call on to keep areas spotted. So they're more of a cheap
Trainer.
damage.
I call him a trainer.
Trainer. You just chip some damage here and there, and you try and help your team. Maybe see some ship repairing a fire, and you're like, hey, I can make that ship's life by just lighting another fire on it. I can make it hard. But that's all you do. You cannot lap anything. You can't.
You can't. They're not impactful. That's why. It's what a lot of what I've said over the past couple of days was we're trying to get our 10,000 a day. I just really there's certain games I just really feel like I'm not useful at all, even at tier 8.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel impactful. I don't feel like I'm doing anything special. All I'm doing is trying to get drops, and that's it. Trying to rack up damage. So I feel like the rewarding of CV gameplay in my iteration, it's a little lacking. I don't feel rewarded by playing them. I end up losing more when I have better games than when I have terrible games. I end up winning more. Then I think one time it finally synced up to where I had a good game and we had a good team. I ended up taking like 15,000 experience out of that game.
I feel like the weaker your team is, the more you get to farm.
The more you have to do.
Yeah, and the more you get to farm, like you get to clean up. You're more of a cleanup tool than a one-shotting tool anymore. So you're not you're just like a cruiser. You spam some damage. You maybe find a ship that's low on 2-3k that escaped your fleet, and you find it behind the island, and you just eliminate it.
Yeah,
You're more of a cleanup tool.
I tell you, we had several drops last night that I left guys with less than 100 hit points.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, guys, here we go. Bang, here's 7,000 hit points. And I couldn't get the extra one. Like, I literally left a guy on 1 hit point. I literally left a guy on 35 hit points. And I'm like, what? And these are dive bombers. I mean, these are Lexington dive bombers going in on a DD that hits for 4,000, but I couldn't get the 35. It was weird, man. It was a weird set of games. All right, let's move on to the next question. This will be I think this was the last question, or maybe there was one other question here.
I think you were interested in something about the BlizzCon.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, I guess we have a couple more things. Any ideas on when we'll get back the bugged gun bloom duration mechanic? This was something. Do you want to explain the bugged gun bloom mechanic to him?
Ooh, the beautiful mechanic where you would shoot your guns and then hide behind an object and come on the other side and
Still be
completely unspotted. You just became a ninja. That island turned you into a ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Now the gun bloom mechanic is you shoot. You have 20 seconds. You should spend those 20 seconds behind that island and then move on with your life. Because if you cross that island in those 20 seconds, the rest of your spotting will be set as soon as you come from behind that island.
You see it with DDs when they're shooting, they drop their smoke, they go into their smoke, and they wait a couple of seconds, and then they come out the other side, they're spotted again.
Yeah, you should wait like 3 seconds, at least 3 seconds. Make sure you don't exit your smoke as soon as you shoot your guns.
So here you go.
Your guns will still be hot.
When is that going to be fixed? It says 8.5. Estimated time of arrival is 0.8.5. So we're on what, 8.2? I think we're on 8.2 right now.
Happens, actually.
And it
I
says,
hope that
no
never
hard
happens.
promises. The design is more or less ready and awaits for QM implementation. So there's a lot of things out there that I want to get over on you guys here. I want to let you guys know that there's a lot of things ready to go that take time. And with them prioritizing right now the CV rework, there's a lot of things out there that I want to see get fixed that are very low priority. Fire chance is very low priority. Very low priority. But I'm on fire all the goddamn time. And as much as I wish that they would go ahead and focus on this thing and say, hey, let's fix this. They got other things that they deem more necessary. So
Hey,
there you go. Thoughts?
got set on fire yesterday on stream. My first game, played the worst fight, got set on fire by a DD. He fired 5 shells at me. He hit me with 5 shells. He set 4 fires on me.
Yeah.
4 fires in 5 shells. He shot first salvo, got me on fire. 2 fires I repaired them. I used the damage gun. As soon as he came out from his smoke, he fired again, just his frontal gun. So 2 shells, and put another 2 fires.
Yep. I mean, we've all had it. I mean, I got set on fire 5 times in 3 volleys. Double fire, hit
Yep.
repair. 20 seconds later, he hits me again for another one, and sets me on 1 fire. The very next shell from the back guns. From the back gun sets me on 2 more places on fire.
Yeah.
I think the fire chance
I
is a
don't
little
even
ridiculous.
understand. I have no clue how the hell he did it because I was bowing. So he got the first time he got a fire on my nose and
Splash
on my
damage.
aft, and then he got a fire on my superstructure and my aft. So no shells fell like on my nose. I was nose towards him, and he hit like over my ship, and I just saw both of his frontal guns hit me.
That's pretty old. It's
Yeah,
getting pretty old to me. I mean, it's getting pretty old. It's getting pretty frustrating, and I mean that's a thing. So here's hoping that they address it in the future. All right, let's talk about a ship that a lot of people, that even myself have. I know my man Kellorn over on the Warships podcast has talked about this. The Blizkavika. The question was, Blizkavika buff when? When's the buff coming? Because it needs it. What do you think? What do you think of the Bliss right now?
the Buskowitza.
Yeah, the Bliss Khalifa.
That's how we Yeah, the Bliss Khalifa.
Yeah.
Buskowitza, because some Polish guy just corrected me 50 times, and I refused to murder him. Is a ship that used to be very popular, very powerful, and very beautiful. Now it's only very beautiful.
Yeah.
Keep it as a collectible in your port. It's still playable. It's still a ship that can do something. It cannot carry games as it used to do because it was killing DDs and it was harassing cruisers
Right.
continuously.
Invisifire
Uh,
was king on this
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
You had a couple of actual couple of kilometers that you could actually Invisifire from.
yeah, yeah. The problem is that it's a pretty important ship to the history of destroyers, worldwide destroyer history. It's an iconic ship, the Buskowitza or Bliskowitza or Bliss Khalifa. It's a pretty iconic ship, and turning that iconic ship into just a salt gathering piece of metal in your port, it's quite sad. It's quite sad to see something like that. Like if they would have done that to the Fletcher,
Yeah.
people would just,
People would
yeah,
be a little
revolt.
bit more in arms about the Fletcher, because the Fletcher
Yeah.
Fletcher is loved by many people in this game. I'm by far not one of those people. I don't love the Fletcher like everybody else does, but it's okay. So here's the answer to the question. Here's the answer that they said to the question. It says, all right, here's the situation. Bliskavika is fine, balance-wise, and she does not require any straight buffs. We know she used to be better, but the game changed since then. We would be okay with some rebalance to make her more fun without an overbuff. So basically, we need to be open and dressing with her when there's a good cause, e.g., when there is some progress about pan EU Game Nation. But as for direct and standalone buff, It's a no. So it ain't gonna happen anytime soon
Yeah,
at all.
that I think is it's an actual kind of mistake.
I
I
think
don't know.
it's. I
I
think
think
it's.
that
I definitely think it's a mistake as well, man. Because
yeah,
I did this boat 6.8 kilometers at Tier 7. Tier 7
it's
is
a
a tier.
cruiser.
It's basically a small cruiser. I mean, it's like 6.8 kilometer. Let's just talk about DDs at Tier 7. They suck. Now
Yeah,
everybody's going to be like, Venom, how can you say they suck? The Sims is there. This Sims is there. The freaking Mayhan is there. That's a good boat. The Shiri's there. Those are all good, but they suck compared to the cruisers at Tier 7. The cruisers at Tier 7 are probably the strongest cruisers tier for tier other than Tier 10.
yep,
Tier 10 and then
yep.
Tier 7. Those compared to their own tier. I don't care about Tier 8, Tier 6, Tier 7. What Tier 7 only. The cruisers are king. The cruisers are king there, and the cruisers are king at Tier 10. And when you
Yeah,
when you put a 6.8 kilometer dude there on a 6.6 kilometer Sims, I don't care how good you are in that boat. I don't care how good that boat is. You're gonna get hammered. You're gonna get roasted by
and
those cruisers.
Bliska is a big DD. It should, my opinion is it should go either up tier or something. It doesn't fit in tier 7. It was quite of a state of the art DD. So
You
it's
think they should move it up to
the,
Tier 10 or Tier 8? Do you
the
think?
size of the destroyer is not tier 7 size. Like it's definitely not tier 7 size. So it's a big DD that's easily to hit. It's not that fast, not that maneuverable, and with a big concealment, you're just an easy target.
I think. I think if we move. All right, so let's just be hypothetical here. Do you think that they move Tier 8 in its current state, move the Bliss to Tier 8 because it's more suited for Tier 8 because it matches up with the Kiev a little bit better. It matches
Yeah,
up in that zone.
yeah,
Do you think it would be more beneficial to that boat if they just went ahead and said, you know what, it's not good enough here. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of reload buff. Let's give it a maneuverability
exactly.
buff, and let's put it at Tier 8.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It should be there where the cruisers aren't as
Overpowering.
uh yeah, as close to the DD line as they are in tier 7, where you got cruisers that just get in your face, like the Fiji or the Belfast or
PG Belfast, Helena.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you pick any of them. Shores is dirty.
There's no cruiser that would avoid getting in the face of an enemy fleet
Hmm.
because they're so strong at tier 7. Like the battleships are just dwarfs compared to the
And
cruisers at tier 7.
the battleships. Granted, everybody has their own opinions here. The battleships, in my opinion, at Tier 7, they're not as good as the cruisers at Tier 7
Yeah, yeah.
comparatively. And we see that with what's one of the strongest battleships at Tier 7, Hammer.
Scharnhorst.
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 Scharnhorst is
And it's
probably
not a
the strongest.
battleship.
And it's not even a battleship. It's got
Yeah,
11-inch guns. It doesn't do
yeah.
enough damage to these people consistently enough to be considered good.
You're off on a flank and two cruisers decide to play with you. Yeah, good luck doing significant damage to them as they shell you with HE from 15 kilometers.
Yep.
Your guns do not overmatch.
Yeah.
If they stay well angled, they can even stay nose in and reverse. You're gonna do some 2K, 3K salvos on the superstructure, but by that time they did 10K to you.
Well, what do you think about adding that fifth slot?
Mm.
If you put it up to Tier 8,
Yeah,
you
it gets the
you open up another slot.
exactly. You get
Reload buff.
better concealment.
Yeah, something, anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
anything.
it opens up from 6.8, and what's 6.8 with a concealment? 6.4, 6.1, something
Yep.
like that. What makes it comparable?
Yeah, it goes down. It goes into a competitive environment, and if you
We're talking
get the
about 6
reload,
point. Well, let's just for shiggles here, just say it's 6.4. Low Yang's 5.8. You got
yeah,
5.5. You got 5.8 on the Benson, the Low Yang, the kids 5.8. You got 5.5, 5.4 Cossack and the Japanese
yeah.
there.
And you give the Bliska the guns that to make her as she was a DD that no other DD had the bolts to open fire on.
I didn't want to open fire on it when I first started playing it. I think it was dirty.
Yeah.
Thing was nasty.
Yeah.
All right. So it'd be 6.1%, 6.1 on the concealment. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. What's that comparable to? 5.8 on those. What's the Russians? What's the Augie? And what's the Kiev?
It's just it's a bit more. It goes like 6.3, 6.4.
It's right there in the middle. What is it on the Akizuki? Which is a pure gunboat. Oh, looks like we're having issues here with connectability here.
Can you hear me okay?
No, I can't hear you. All right, let's see. You back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So you got the most important is that you got the Z52 that you would say has the gunpowder, and the Kiev that have the gunpowder to really fight the Bliska.
He's talking about Z23.
And they're around the same numbers. Z23, yeah. Z23 is 6.2.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair.
Doing good.
That's I think that's a fair thing for them to push it up to tier 8, give it that other slot, and give it the concealment.
Yeah,
and then maybe just maybe up that reload just a little bit. It's pretty slow.
Yeah.
It's pretty slow.
Yeah. Go into Akizuki levels. Stuff like that. Make it a gunboat. Because Akizuki is fun to play. Gunboats are fun to play.
Agreed. All right, so let's move on. Was there any other questions on that list that you wanted to address before we move on into the other one? Guys, if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns here about anything that we've talked about, please at SirVenomIK or at hammerald or at one of my mods, and they will feed me those questions. I do have a little bit of a list here, and we're going to go into our next little section here, and then we'll do our Q&A session here with my man hammerald, which you guys can hit him up over on twitch.tv/hammerald. If you guys are here in the chat here, then you already know it's twitch.tv/SirVenomIK. And, hey, man, you guys can hit me up on the twatters over there at Sir_Venom_IK if you have any other comments. So there you go. Any other last-minute things on that page?
I was just interested about the question on the release and the revise of legendary modules. I know that they said that most likely it's going to be this year that every tier 10 ship or most of the tier 10 ships, no matter where they come from, will have a legendary module that can be acquired. But there's also probably going to be some changes in legendary modules that don't perform as intended or not as useful, and nobody's using them. Right, they obviously don't want to create something that ends up in the trash can.
that you'll never use. So here's the question that's pertaining to this. When will you revise legendary modules? Some ships don't have one, and some of the ones that have been released are not really useful when others are semi-mandatory. The answer to that question was most likely this year, but we're not entirely sure. Will it be a revision or just some new, better systems in place? Time will tell. So they don't know yet. They don't know. I think when they released. All right, so we've already talked about today the Tier 8 versus Tier 10 matchmaking. We've already talked about that, how bad it was, or how bad it actually is right now. And then you throw something in like a legendary module, which makes it even worse, which separates the Tier 10s even further from the Tier 8s. Now, the majority of the people don't have these Tier 10, they don't have these Tier 10 legendary modules yet. Maybe they're working on them, but some people do. I mean, I've got them all, and that gearing at 5.5 at Tier 10 is dirty. Just from its concealment alone, it makes it ridiculously good. But there's also some useless ones. The Yu Yang one's pretty useless.
Yep.
I mean, so how do you fix it? What do you do? I have no idea. I'm not a developer.
Balance things out. The Hindenburgs it basically changes the gameplay of the ship, so it does on the Henry. Those are pretty good, but they're situational.
Right. The Zhao?
I would actually make switching the super module, the legendary module, I would make it free so that people can just decide if they want to play a game with, play a game without. And even when they play division, they can play like two Hindenburg division, one with super module and one without. One that becomes, because the Hindenburg with the super module basically becomes like a battle cruiser, like a small battleship. It becomes the battleship Hindenburg, as it's always called. Also, the Henri, once you put on that super module, you may
We're talking about
get
switching
spotted.
modules for free after you earn it. Like
Yeah,
instead of rolling those doubloons, 50 doubloons or 25 doubloons
yeah,
to demount it, you're talking about switching those for free.
yeah. Just give the people the chance to try those super modules and play a different playstyle with those ships, because a super module basically changes the playstyle.
Yeah, it does. I
That
mean,
that's
let's
that's what it
yeah,
does.
absolutely. I mean,
There are
it
some
definitely
that
changes it.
there are some that just buff the stats that were always there, like the Zaos, where it buffs the turning circle and the accuracy on an already nimble and accurate ship.
Pretty strong.
So it
And
makes
all
the
it did was
Zao,
lower the range.
yeah, makes the Zao stronger already in places that the Zao was already strong.
Yeah.
And there's the one on the Henri that basically destroys the Henri's concealment. He becomes the easiest ship to get spotted in the game, probably at the same level as the GK.
That's a pretty high level
Yeah,
there.
goes
Pretty high
to
level.
16 kilometer,
Yeah.
but it starts to shoot like a Zao.
Yeah.
The
So the
accuracy,
Henry's
yeah.
so good. And there's a reason why the Henry's number one cruiser in the game right now. There's a reason.
Oh, there's a reason. The reason is it punishes static play. It's the
People
most,
sitting still are punished by this stuff, and that legendary mod makes it even better.
yeah, yeah. You just sit there, pop your reload booster, and that ship needs to get out of there.
And if you play it correctly, dodge, duck, kick,
Yeah.
dive, and dodge, you're good.
You can dodge with that speed buff and the mobility of the Henri. You just dodge the salvos that are coming at you from that stationary ship. You catch a stationary ship, you keep moving, and you open up on it.
Lots of throttle jockeying. Lots of throttle
Yeah,
jockeying. And you play it like a Zao. You'd play it like a Zao.
yeah, exactly.
Play that Henry like a Zao, man. You'll be good to go. All right.
Yeah, Zao at 20 kilometers.
Yeah,
hit,
it's dirty.
hit that.
All right. So that leads us into our next topic here. Let's talk about overpowered ships. You want to talk about overpowered ships? How about instead of overpowered ships, how about some new ships? You guys want to hear about some new ships? They released today on the dev blog, which I will link into the chat currently, and I will drop a comment in the section below. I will drop it in the comment section below for you beautiful people over on YouTube. But there it is, right there, the medium.com dev blog. New ships on their way. New ships on the way. The first one we're going to talk about, we're just going to go from bottom to top, or top to bottom. The new, yeah.
You want to go from the Russians, right? We're going with the Russians.
Start with the Slava, yeah.
We can go from top, yeah.
You want to go top to bottom?
Yeah, because it's easier to read.
All right, okay. Soviet Battleship Slava Tier 10.
Yes.
Man, this thing, it's another premium. How are they going to release it? We don't know. Is it going to be a steel ship? Probably, like the Bourgogne or like the other one. The only one that's Tier 10 that's not is the Salem, and that was for quite a bit of coal. So hit points 91,800. Plating 32 millimeters. The armor scheme is identical to the Battleship Kremlin. 3x3 406s. Firing range at 22.7 kilometers. Now, these are 16-inch guns on 3 turrets.
Yes.
Maximum HE shell damage 5,800. Chance to cause fire 40%. Still too much. Maximum AP shell damage is 13,450. Reload time is 30 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 30 seconds. Maximum dispersion is 267 meters. The HE initial velocity is 870, and the initial AP velocity is 870, and the sigma is 1.9. So relatively accurate for a battleship. I think North Carolina is, 2.2?
Yep.
And it's arguably one of the most accurate boats in the game. So if you're a little less, you're probably looking more along the lines of accuracy like the in between the Massachusetts and the Alabama, because those are at 2.0 and 1.8.
Yep.
Secondary armament, yeah.
Stats, so far the stats show like a balanced ship. There's nothing here that screams overpowered.
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
The only thing that will be overpowered about this is that 12-kilometer nonsense, that 12-kilometer
Yeah,
accuracy buff.
exactly.
That thing is
That's
going to be dirty. That thing's going to be
that's when
dirty.
it becomes dangerous. Yeah.
Right. AA parameters are not shown because they are not balanced yet. They are still working on those. Secondary armament, you have 8 by 2 130 millimeter guns, 6-kilometer range. Maximum shell damage 1800, chance to cause fire 8%, HE shell velocity at 950 meters per second.
Typical 130 millimeter Russian shell.
Mm-hmm. That's like kebab shell. Is that kebab shell or trash can shell?
Yeah.
Maximum speed is 30 knots. Turning circle radius is 1,090 meters. Rudder shift time is 16.3 seconds. That's pretty quick. 16 seconds.
Yes.
For a battleship. Surface detectability is 16.7 in the air. 16.7 kilometers. Air detectability is 13.7. Detectability after firing its main gun while it's sitting in smoke is 16.2. 30 knots. Rudder shift on it's great.
Mobile. Yeah, pretty mobile. Pretty mobile, especially because you're gonna be on the push.
Oh, that sounds like it's an interesting thing. Let's deep into this next one here. Available consumables: damage control party. Duration time is 20 seconds. Reload 60. 40 seconds on the downtime. I believe the 40 seconds on that page is the premium. Charges of 3. Premium is 4. 2 slots. Second slot is a repair party. Duration time is 28 seconds per 28 seconds. Heal per second is 459 heal. Reload time is 120, 80 with premium, and then you get 2 charges base and then 3 with premium.
Quite
powerful. It's going to be quite a powerful ship.
The charges are quite like small in number. Only 3 charges with premium. I think. This ship will have to be very careful how it uses the superintendent for sure. It's gonna make it 4.
Yeah.
But still, it needs to really be careful with the way it uses the control party and the repairs.
Interesting. So that's the Slava. You guys can look at the pictures. I'm not gonna fling up the pictures here. You guys can go to that blog and look at the pictures yourself. We did show the pictures last night on the show as well toward the end of the show. So American Destroyer Tier 9 Premium, which I'm pretty excited about. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited about this. It is the Benham class. Maximum hit points 14,500. Plating is 19 millimeters, pretty standard for destroyers. Your main battery is 4 by 127, so you got single fire guns like the Fletcher, like the Black, like the Sims. Firing range 12.6 base. Pretty long range. Pretty long range for that. Shell damage 1,800. Chance to cause fire 5%. AP shell damage is 2,100. Reload time is 3.3 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 6 seconds. Maximum dispersion is 110 meters. Initial shell velocity 792. So still the typical slow American shells. Very loopy.
Shells.
Very loopy, and it's gonna be a pain in the ass trying to hit any things over 6 kilometers. But it's typical quintessential American destroyers. AP shell velocity is the same, and Sigma is 2.0.
Now here comes the fun part.
Here comes the flavor of this boat, which I'm pretty stoked about, and because we're finally getting an American torpedo boat. And this is an American torpedo boat, guys. Let me tell you something. Torpedo tubes, there's 4 by 4. So you got 2 4-set launchers on each side. Maximum damage is 16,633, which is huge. Which is big, nasty damage. Range is 9.2 kilometers. Speed is 55 knots. That's equivalent to the Benson. Equivalent to the Benson and the Kid. Low Yang's got the same torps. A little bit more damage on this one than the Low Yang, though. Reload time is 98 seconds. It's a minute and a half and change.
Really good.
Which is fantastic. Launcher 180-degree turn time is 7.2 seconds. And the torpedo detectability is 1.1 kilometers.
Which is excellent. Yeah. Wall of skill followed by another wall of skill So you launch from your left side, you turn around, you launch for your right side, and when you turn around again, in 20 seconds, you'll have the other side already prepared to launch again.
Now, AA, the short range continuous damage. I'm not even going to go into the AA. You guys can look up the AA yourself. Maximum speed is 36 knots. Pretty quick. Pretty quick
Really
for a
quick,
DD.
yeah.
Turning circle is 560 meters. Rudder shift time is 3.4 seconds. Very good. Very fast. Surface detectability is 7.6 seconds base. So with the concealment expert and the captain skill, what does that make that? 7.6 down to what? 5.8. I would assume it's
No, it's
close.
going low, really low, really low. It's going like 5.6, I think.
7.6. Guys, somebody out there in the chat do the math, and I'll read it here in a second. Air detectability is 2.9 kilometers. Detectability after firing smoke in the main guns, 2.8 kilometers. 2.8 kilometers. Here we go. Available consumables. First slot, damage control party. Duration is 5 seconds. Reload time is 40 seconds with premium, 60 without. 2 slot and a smoke. You have duration time is 127 seconds. Reload is 240, 160 with premium time. You get 2 charges. Radius is 450 meters. So that's 450 meters wide. That's pretty typical typical smoke for American. 127.
Classical American smoke.
Yep. Third slot's engine boosto. Maximum speed, duration plus 8%. Reload time is 180 seconds, 120 with premium. You get 2 or 3 charges, depending on if you want premium or not. Third slot comes with defensive AA fire. Standard.
You can choose engine boost or defensive A. Keep those pesky planes away.
There you go. There you go. So for all you people out there saying, hey, wait, man, they just dropped a torpedo boat now that they're useless with CVs out there. Well, there you go. You have an option. And I think that option is fine because same thing with the Fletcher, Sims and, Benson out there. And I mean, do you really need it? You go 36 knots anyway.
Yep.
There you go. Have an AA button. Have an AA button, man. There you go. So that's the Benham. Pretty fantastic. I'm pretty excited about that. Anybody know what the detection range would be with all the buffs starting at 7.6 kilometers? Somebody let me know that one.
So it's
so from what I understand, this boat, we're doing the history on this boat, is that this class, right after this class came out, was the Sims class. So the Sims class boat here is a little bit newer than the Benham. Why is it tier 9? I don't know, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So that's what we're looking at here. Thoughts on this one?
Probably tier 9 because of the powerful walls of skill you can put out.
Walls of skill.
The torpedoes are, yeah. The underwater walls of skill are just, they're tier 9 material.
I think I'm going to enjoy this, man. I like the American DDs. I mean, I run the American DDs quite a bit. Just run them up, but it's tier 9 premium, so it's going to be good. And the only other tier 9 premium we have is the black. I believe that's the only tier 9 premium destroyer currently. I think the Nooster Shimmies that's been tested around is also at tier 9.
Yeah. The Nooster Shimmy is probably going to be steel.
You think the Nooster Shimmy is going to be the steel?
Yeah, it's going to be steel destroyer. So I think
I know they haven't said how
is
they're
going to
be
more.
Yet, so.
Yeah.
So it's probably
going to be
idea.
more affordable.
Do you think the Benham will come out for steel, or do you think the Benham will
I think
come
it's
out
going to come
coal?
out either for coal or for free XP. It cannot be for steel.
So free XP, what do you if it came out for coal, what do you think? How much?
For coal?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. And then same thing for free XP. Put it in perspective.
For coal, I would go with 180,000.
180,000 coal?
Yeah.
Fair, I'd buy it.
Free
I've
XP,
got that sitting in there right now anyway.
800,000 free XP.
800,000 free XP? I'd probably pay $1 million for this.
Be a good price.
I'd probably pay $1 million for this. I'd pay, honestly, just to have more content, I'd play anything they wanted to.
So it's smaller than the Alaska, so it should be cheaper. There's
True.
lesser steel needed to build this ship should be cheaper.
All right, we'll do that. So there you go, 800,000, 750,000. You know, 750,000 for a DD, a million for a cruiser, and then 2 million for a battleship. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Free XP if they want to do it that way. I'm down for it. I don't care. I still think 750,000 for the Missouri was cheap. It was a steal.
Really cheap for
It was a steal,
what they
bro. It was a steal. All right,
And
the next
Musashi.
one.
Even more.
Musashi, I learned. Musashi's so good, though.
Yeah.
Musashi's so good. Japanese cruiser Yoshino, it's tier 10. Now, if my understanding correctly is that they were doing the, was it the Azuma that was supposed to be at tier 10, and then they moved that to tier 9 and changed it, and this is before the change?
Yeah. This is like a pre-nerf Azuma.
Pre-nerf Azuma, there you go. I actually kind of like this. The pre-nerf Azuma, from what I never played the pre-nerf Azuma, but from when I watched Business 6 playing it, some Mijash videos, and it was pretty strong. It was pretty strong.
Yeah, it was fun to play.
Yeah.
It wasn't extremely strong. It was pretty strong because the players that were playing it and testing it were top tier players, and in the hands of people that understand how the ship works, what you have to do and what you have to avoid doing, especially with this ship. This is a pretty sensitive ship. Like, it's a ship that if you make a mistake, you're gonna get heavily punished. If you make a good move, you're gonna get heavily rewarded. It's a high risk, high reward kind of ship.
As a game should be. As a game should be. There you go. Hit points, 61,800. 25 millimeter plating on 25 millimeter armor of plating, and then central part is 30 millimeters. Main battery is 310 millimeters and 3x3s. Firing range is 21.3 kilometers. Maximum HE shell damage is 5,100. 27% fire chance. AP shell damage is 8650. Reload time of 20 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 36 seconds. Very slow, battleship style.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: what was it? The Slava was a little bit faster on its turning time. At 30 seconds. So hold on, let me scroll back. Yeah, 180-degree turn time is 30 seconds. 37 on this boat. So it's a very slow rotating ship here. HE shell velocity is 836. 836 on the AP, and then Sigma is 2.05. Maximum dispersion of 217 meters. Relatively accurate.
Yeah.
217 meters isn't terrible.
No.
Here goes another torpedo monster here. Torpedo tubes, 4x4, 610 millimeter, maximum damage 23,767. Range at 12 kilometers. Speed at 67 knots. Reload time 120 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 7.2 seconds. Torpedo detectability is 1.7 kilometers. That is dirty.
Yep.
That is dirty. I don't know what we do not see the torpedo
angles.
arcs. If the torpedo arcs are anything forward, like the Atago or the Furby Taco, this thing is going to be
they're
nasty.
Zao type. Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to be like Zao type.
I think they're going to be Zao. Yeah. Oh, man, that sucks, man.
Way too powerful to just do torpedo runs.
Fuck, man.
With your nose. That would have been awesome.
That'd be dirty.
But it's still looking really good on paper.
Yeah, so far it is. The torpedo detectability is 1.7 kilometers. If I didn't say that, we're saying it again. Don't care about the AA. Yeah. We'll figure that out eventually. Maximum speed 34 knots. Turning radius is 920 meters, so it's a big slow bastard. 34 is not terrible. Let's put it into perspective. If you take the Algiers, Algerie, whatever the tier 7 cruiser is from the French one. If you hit its engine boost, it's 34 knots. So it's going that fast. So it's not bad for a cruiser, I guess. For the middle tier, I don't know how it is for the top tier. What is
for like a what are they called? Because they have the super cruiser class. For a super cruiser, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, fair enough. It seems like it'll be a fun boat. Maybe I'll never play it. Who knows? Just like the Zal. Let's go down. You can get damage control party. There's a Hydro that's got a Japanese Hydro or defensive AA. You have to choose between Hydro or defensive AA. Spotting aircraft in slot 3 by itself, and then a repair party for slot 4. So you're getting a heal and a spotting range. I don't understand
Yes.
that. 20% more range. The range is already 21 kilometers. Hold on, let me go
Yes.
make sure. Firing range 21.3 kilometers, so you're going to hit 25, 26 kilometers with this?
25 to 26,
Yeah,
yes.
25 to 26 kilometers with this. It's going to be a long range, another long range AT spammer, but slow.
Yeah.
Slow
You
and
gotta
dinky.
you gotta prepare for your HE spamming. If you don't prepare and you're caught full broadside, you won't be able to turn away.
Hmm.
Need to be already
Do you think?
well angled.
Do you think this should have been a fighter instead?
No,
You all right with this?
no. This is a ship that supports a push from the rear. This is not a ship, and the Japanese ships are not pushing ships. They are more supportive of the
The
battleship.
bigger
Like,
ships.
yeah, yeah. They try to chip down the battleships in the enemy fleet so that somebody else can finish them.
There you go. That's a really good assessment there. All right, so the Yoshino guys, if y'all want to check out these photos that I'm dropping here, medium.com, there it is. I put it into the chat. You guys copy pasta that into your browser. For you guys over on YouTube, it'll be in the description section below if you guys are interested in that. So moving on to the next one, a Tier 7 destroyer, the Udachi. Now this one's been under some controversy. It's like they don't really understand what they're going for this ship, but it's on its way. 13,200 plating, 13,200 hit points, plating at 16 millimeters, 1x1 and a 1x2, 127 millimeter.
No, 1x1 and 2x2s. It's got 5.
Right. So it's five guns, 2x2s, one
Yep,
and a
yep.
1x1. Kind of like the Shiryatsuyu. Has 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and then 1 like right before the back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
127 Japanese 127 guns. They're pretty strong guns, by the way. Firing range 11.8 kilometers. Medium maximum HE shell damage 2150. Cause of damage. Fire chance is 9%. Maximum AP shell damage is 2200. Reload time 9 seconds. It's too much. Reload on the main guns at 9 seconds is too much for this tier.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
much.
Way too much.
It's not
It's
good
good
enough.
alpha, but you get one shot and then you gotta smoke.
Yeah.
You shoot once and you smoke.
All right, 180 degree turn time on these guns is 30 seconds. That's fucking terrible.
Yes.
That's terrible. That's awful. It's awful. Maximum dispersion of 104 meters. HE shell velocity is 915, so it's pretty fast on both AP and HE. Sigma's 2.0. Torpedo tubes, 2x4, 610. Maximum damage, 17,233. 15-kilometer range on these, so these are pretty long range. Speed at 57 knots, so they're slow. Reload time 101 seconds, which is it's all right, I guess. 7.2.
A good reload. It's a good reload time.
Yeah. Launchers 180 degree turn time, 7.2 seconds. Torpedo detectability is 2.5. That seems awful high. 2.5 kilometer detectability seems awful high when you're looking at the Benham at tier 9. It's 1.1.
Shima torps.
20 kilometer Shima
Basically.
torps, basically.
Yeah.
This is pretty ridiculous. Good luck getting a hit on these things. AA, don't care about AA. We'll figure that out eventually. Maximum speed, 34 knots. Turning radius, 540. It's pretty small. Pretty quick. I guess it's slow on the slow side for destroyers, especially when some of these things can hit 40 knots at tier 7. 3.2 surface detectability, 6.5 kilometer air detectability, 2.8 kilometer detectability after firing guns and smoke is 2.4. You get a damage control party, you get a smoke, you get an engine boost, and that's it.
Yep.
And that's it. Thoughts on this one? I'm not too excited about this one. Let's be
I'm
fair.
not excited and I'm not impressed. First of all, the torpedo range, 15 kilometers. Somebody would say, wow, 15 kilometers. Yeah, well, your torpedoes are probably going to get spotted in tier 10 and tier 8. They're going to get spotted
They're
for
gonna
the
get spotted
last
from the moon.
8-9 kilometers of their run.
Yeah.
So
this one is grossly
the
screaming.
the speed is just bad.
57 knots. This is screaming for a torpedo accelerator.
Yeah.
And even then, good luck. What does 57 knots convert over with torpedo accelerator? And then
Yeah,
what does it take it down to? We're
32.
talking about 20s go to 16 and a quarter, right? 16.4,
Yeah,
16.5, something like that.
62 knots, and then 62 knots, and then it goes into like a
11
13
kilometers,
kilometer.
12 kilometers, like 10
No,
and a half, maybe
you lose exactly 3 kilometers, so it goes to 12.
12 kilometers. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not great. That's not great, especially that they're so high. I mean, I guess 12 kilometers is fine for that tier 7. We saw the
problem
Sims.
is the
We saw the Sims torpedoes
detectability.
get up. Yeah, but the detectability is awful. 2.5
Yeah.
kilometers almost. Not impressed with
And
this one. We might skip over this one, guys. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these guys? If y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the ships that we're talking about, please go ahead and link them into the chat, and I will get to those here in just a little bit. As we're coming up toward the end of the podcast, we do have some question and answering sections. So if you have anything that you want to ask myself or Hammerald or any of the other guys there in the chat, go ahead and link them, and I will read them here in just a little bit. So, the French destroyer, another tier 5.
Sirocco.
Sirocco, Siroco. So say it however you want to. Hit points 11,700. Plating 10 millimeters. Main battery 4x1 130s. Firing range 11.8 kilometers. Maximum HE shell damage is 1,900. Chance to cause fire 9%. Maximum AP 2,300. Reload time is 6 seconds. Tier 5 is okay, 6 seconds, I guess.
9% for everyone else. 25% against Cerveno.
Against Cerveno. Damn right. 180-degree turn time is 18 seconds, so not the fastest turning guns. Maximum dispersion is 104 meters. HE shell velocity. Here's where this one I think fails. 725 meters a second. Sigma at 2.0. Somebody, anybody know what the what is it? 780 on the North Carolina?
Yep,
it's something like that.
7. Yeah, it's almost 800 on the American destroyers, so it's even slower than the American destroyer shells.
It's ridiculous, man.
Shells.
I don't understand these slow ass shells. It's very fast, very slow shells on pretty much all of these boats, the cruisers and the destroyers so far. The Agile, very slow, very archy shells. The Degrassi as well. So I don't understand the slow shells with everybody, but I don't know how you're supposed to play this yet. But let's get into the rest of these things. Torpedo tubes, 2x3s, 550 millimeter, maximum damage of 14,833, range of 9 kilometers, speed at 60 knots. Reload time is 90 seconds, really good. 7.2 turn time on those, and torpedo detectability. Here's something, 1.3 kilometers. Very fast, very fast. 60 knots is relatively fast for 9 kilometers of range, and then 1.3 kilometers. So you're gonna get some. Oh my God, where'd this come from? But they're only 2x3, so there is room to maneuver in between these.
Yep. The typical French torpedo, 9 kilometer, almost 15k damage, and only 6 of them.
Yeah, not too many of them.
That's not too many. But maximum, if you hit them, you're gonna be in trouble.
Right. Maximum speed is 33 knots, so it's real kind of slow. Tier 5,
not typical.
Tier 5 is okay though. Turning circle radius 550. Rudder shift time 3 seconds. Really good maneuverability. Detectability is 6.8 starting out, so this is going to get down pretty quick. Well, they don't get the concealment expert. They don't get the concealment module. They can only get concealment expert on their captain. So what does that take 6.8 down to 6.4 or something like that? Air detectability exactly. 3.4, 2.6 on the smoke firing. 2.6 kilometers on smoke firing. You get a damage control party and engine boost. That's it. Nothing else. Thoughts on this one? Tier 5.
A typical French destroyer. Yeah. He's not a fast destroyer like all the others, like the line, like a normal line. It's just a torpedo boat that has some complementary torpedo hits with his guns. Like you hit a torpedo and then you open up with your guns, smoke up and shoot something, but it's gotta be pretty close. Like you can only shoot something in reliable in 9 kilometers or less. 8, 7, I would say. 7 is a good range. As soon as it goes away from 7, 8 kilometers, it's gonna be tough to hit, especially a mobile target like a DD or a cruiser. The guns are just there to maybe try and get the fire on a battleship after it hits a torpedo.
Right.
Because the fire chance is pretty good, 9%,
9%'s not bad.
and the reload is decent at 6 seconds.
For tier
So
5, it's I mean,
yeah,
all right. So what's the standards at tier 5 for DDs? Kamikaze.
it's 5% fire chance.
Yeah.
It's
Kamikaze
only
and
the Japanese have bigger shells, so they have a bigger fire chance. But
Japanese. What's the guns on the Kamikaze?
the 127s.
They're 127s. Well, these got 30s.
No, the Kamikaze has 100 millimeter guns.
1 millimeter, 100 millimeter. Well, these guns are 130 millimeter, so it's got 9% fire chance, which isn't bad. I mean, it's comparable to everything else at the tier. Overall, I think it's going to be like, hey, it's a tier 5 premium. If you want it, go get it. If not, then you're really not missing too much. Because would you play this over the Kamikaze unless you had a mission for it? Probably not. Did we lose you again?
Yeah, this should be like a reward kind of ship.
Yeah, your camera kind of froze there.
Yeah, Kami has 120s like Bliska and every other ship that has need of a bit of IFHE if he wants to do a lot.
Yeah.
This is a ship that doesn't need IFHE because it's got 130s. Yeah, that's basically where you save some points. The fact that it has 130s and the Kamikaze and all the other ships have 100 and 120 millimeter guns.
Your camera has gone to snot here, just frozen there in that intense Romanian stare as he's trying to hypnotize his victim to come so he can suck their blood. Blah blah.
Yes, I agree.
I guess I don't want to keep going with this, but
yeah,
I don't know how to fix it at this point, other than leaving the call and restarting the call. Which we can do if you want to. It's up to you. Let's do that real quick, guys. We're gonna go ahead and restart the call, and we'll get into something I'm pretty excited about there. This last ship on this list, the Bayard. The Bayard is one that I'm pretty excited about. I don't know about you guys. Let's leave the call. Let me just restart the call. Let me just start a new one here. We'll just start a new one. See if he'll join me there. So far, guys, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. We will get this back to you guys as soon as possible. Let me leave this one. Apparently, that's not working. And we'll cut this out, I guess. Maybe we won't cut it out. Pretty excited about, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below to get that thing going on. We'll go ahead and have Hammer restart his Discord here. His Discord is messing up here. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you guys very much for all the love and support through the podcast. We've gotten some pretty decent numbers over here on the Twitch channel, and do thank you guys for watching. If you guys have anything that you guys would like to do in the future wise for anything else, if you want to do any particular guest that you guys would like me to try to get on the show, let me know. You guys can go over to the Discord, discord.gg/SirVenomIK, and you guys can hit it up there in the podcast ideas if there's anybody that you guys would like to see on the cast. And then I can try to hunt them down. So either way. All right, welcome back, Hammerald. We were about to start to talk about the new, something I'm pretty excited about because I find that the French cruisers really take off at Tier 8. I think they're the best from Tier 8, 9, and 10, which, as it should be. Charlie Martel. Fantastic boat, and I really enjoyed that boat. So here we go. French cruiser Bayard, Tier 8. 34,700 hit points, plating at 13 millimeters. Central part is 25 millimeters, so space armor, standard space armor. Main battery is 4x3s, so you're getting 12 guns on this thing. Firing range at 17.4. It's pretty comparable. It's not terrible. Were you thinking about Mogami, who has a 15.8 kilometer range, and this one has 17.4. So maximum shell damage HE-wise is 2,200. 12% fire chance, 3,300 on the AP, reload at 7.5 seconds. That's pretty good at tier 8. 180-degree turn time is 15 seconds, which is it's okay. It's a little slow, but it's okay. Shell velocity 870 on both AP and the HE, and the segment 2.0. This thing fires quick compared to the rest of them. Compared to the rest of them. Standard French torpedoes, 15,000 damage, 14,833, 2x3s, 9 kilometers, 80 knots. Reload time is 90 seconds. Pretty good. 7.2 on the turn and 1.3 on the detectability. Secondary armament, I'm not going to talk about that, but here's where this one shines a little bit. And we're going to talk about AA. It's your camera's still crashing out. There you go. All right. We're going to talk about AA here on this one. I said 60 knots, not 80 knots. AA to long range. This thing has some seriously good AA. Have you seen the numbers on this thing?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Of course.
Mid-range number of explosions in a salvo is 7. Damage within explosion is 980. Continuous damage per second is 446. Hit probability is 85%. Action zone is 1 to 3.8 kilometers. That's medium range. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah. Long range number of explosions in a salvo is 4, which you can up that with the AA module. Damage within the explosion is 11,090. Continuous damage per second is 89. Hit probability at 85. Action zone is 3.8 to 5.8 kilometers. Sector reinforcement is 25. 10 seconds, the standard cruiser layout when it's AA. What do you think of this AA, man?
It says places it close to the top cruisers at tier 8. Really close to the top dog at tier 8. Just the Cleveland. If it's the French AA, it's a deceiving AA for everybody that knows it. It's a deceiving AA. You might feel like he's not wrecking my planes, but as soon as you get kind of close to it and try to drop the ship, you might have a nasty surprise.
I think I think it's one of those things. The AA is going to be troll.
Yeah,
it's going to be troll, but it does have a 1 kilometer. If you get right up on this boat, you're not going to take any damage.
Yeah,
there's a dead zone of AA here, and I see
you're
that
gonna get punished on your way there, on your way out. So you can drop the ship, but you're gonna lose a lot of planes on your way out. Like as soon as your planes leave that ship and get 1 kilometer from it, trying to get to 6 kilometers out of his AA zone, the first 2 kilometers when they're running out, they're gonna take some damage.
Let's 34 knots. It's not that fast. 34 knots. Turning circle 730. It's a big wide turning circle. Rudder shift time is 9.3. It's okay. Surface detectability is 12.2, starting out base. Air detectability is 6.4. After firing in the smoke, it's 5.9. So you're pretty all right. Sitting in smoke here, it's not bad.
Small guns.
What did we say these were? These are 152s. 152s.
Yeah. IFHE ship.
Let's see. Let's look at damage control party. It's got a hydro. The hydro on it is ship detection at 5 kilometers, and torpedo is at 3.5. We have a second slot defensive AA, so you'll have to choose AA or hydro, one or the other. We have a third slot engine boost, and then we have a fourth slot main battery reload booster, so no heal. No heal on this, and no option for it. I must say, if you guys are looking at the picture, looks pretty awesome. Looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this is one of those boats that I will probably end up picking up anyway. I don't know about you. What do you think? This will probably come out to tier 8, maybe $50.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful ship. You can just compare it straight up to the other small gun IFHE ships out there, like the Mogami with this and the Cleveland, and you will find that wow, the differences are pretty big. Like this ship can shoot from 17.5 kilometers.
The ship is also French, so it's really fast.
Yeah, it's gonna be fast while popping the reload booster. It's mobile. It's gonna fire at at you every 7.5 seconds, and then it can pop the reload booster if you repair a fire or two.
That's right.
And yeah,
It's
it's
got a
gonna
pretty decent
punish you.
fire chance.
It's gonna turn into a Harugumo or something like that,
Oh.
shooting at you every 3 seconds from 17 kilometers. And
Fire. This thing is going to play long range. It's going to be, well, relatively long range. You're going to play this about anywhere between 15 and 17 kilometers. You're going
yeah,
to be launching from maximum range, trying to set the fires. And when you set the fires, Hammerald has gone off the camera for some reason. I don't know where he went. He leaned back, and I think the camera just keeps
the
moving on
camera
him.
just keeps moving on me.
That's funny. So yeah, kind of like the Henry play style, kind of like the rest of the French line. Long range, dodge, duck, dig, dive, and dodge. Try not to get hit. That's basically what you're going to do in this boat. And I think it's going to
Yeah.
be fantastic. And I'm looking forward to this one. Any of the boats that you guys are actually looking forward to, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll read those here in a second. What do you think, Harold? What do you think about all these boats? What do you think about this one? Any one of them that you're looking forward to? Any one that you want to pan?
Bayard for sure, like 100% the Bayard, and definitely the Benham. The Benham and the Bayard. Yeah.
The Benham and the Ballard, Bayard, I believe it's what I don't know.
The Banhammer and the
The Banhammer,
Barnyard.
the Banhammer and the Barnyard. There we go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Benham, and I'm looking forward to the Bayard. I'm also looking forward to that damn battleship. I'm looking forward to that Russian BB.
Slava.
Figuring out, the Slava. You Slava, you win, man, my friend. This is the way it goes. All right, guys, that's it. If you guys have any other comments on these things before we jump into the Q&A session, if you guys do happen to have a comment or question or concern about anything that we talked about, now's the time to jump in there, put it into the chat, and we will answer those questions or give us our best mental state here on these questions that are coming in. Woo.
Wanna talk 1 minute
Sure.
about the French line?
Yeah.
Because they also announced the French line, and well, in general, the general stats of the French line show
I haven't seen
really
these
fast
stats yet.
DDs with speed boost. They go a lot of knots, almost 50, some of them.
That's dirty. The 50
Yeah,
knots. I mean,
years.
I have not seen the stats. I didn't know if they released the stats.
I can send you. I can send you.
Send it, link it into the chat, and I'll look at it. And we can talk about it here for a second.
This is gonna be the next line that's coming up after the Russian battleships.
Let's see. Go ahead and talk about it where'd you link it to me?
On Discord.
Oh yeah, I got it. Well, I'm using your thing for Discord, so. The Kleber. All right, here we go. Open it up. French destroyers. Let's look at this. Do we want to go through all of them? Or do we want to go through the ones that actually care, that actually matter? Probably 8, 9, and 10.
Just go to 8, 9, 10, yeah.
8, 9, 10, okay. 5, there's 6. You guys can look at all this stuff here. I will link this to you here. And
they all play the same, that's for sure. They have no smoke.
No smoke at all. There you go. There's the blog there, and I will leave that in the section below for you guys as well. Let's see. Let's look at Tier 8, the La Fantastique. 18,500 hit points, 5x1, 139s, plating of 19 millimeters, 12.8 kilometers. Is a little low for something that doesn't have smoke. Shell damage 2,000, AP is 2,700, 10% fire chance, reload time is 5 seconds. That's okay, it's fair. 5 seconds is Atlanta style. HE shell velocity and AP are the same at 840. Sigma at 2.0. Torpedo tubes are 3x3s at 8 kilometer range, 18,400, so low. Speed is 75 knots, but they're really quick. Reload time is 90 seconds, so good reload. To 7.2 on the turn, and 1.4 kilometer detectability. Fucking fantastic. Maximum speed, 43 knots. Turning circles, 690. Rudder ship time, 4.3. Surface detectability is 8.2, so they're fucking spotted for the moon even before you put anything on there. Air detectability, 4.1. After firing guns at 3.3. Fast as shit. Damage control party, main battery reload booster, and an engine boost. That's it.
Tier 8 Khabarovsk, basically. That's what it screams. AFT, BFT, just spam ships from 15 kilometers while not even looking at the ships, just looking at the shells that are coming in, and you're gonna dodge them at 50 plus knots.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So, yeah,
I don't
nothing
know.
can.
I mean, you're a nonstop mover. Trash can, Kiev, kebab
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah,
You're playing this boat's that style, and you know these main battery shell speeds at 840. It's not terrible. It's not
no, no,
terrible.
it's
It's
not terrible.
not terrible at all.
The
Moving on
thing
to
is,
the 9.
if
Yeah,
somebody ignores you, it's valuable. It's the same for every single other DD, French DD. If you look at the AP shell damage, that's pretty high damage. The AP shell at 2,700.
yeah. That's
So
AP
you can
AP it up.
AP the heck out of cruisers, and you can AP the heck out of battleships that ignore you at 7-8 kilometers. You can put a lot of damage out on people that just ignore your AP and
Yeah.
give you full broadside.
Well, I mean, it's like you put it up comparable with the Germans. The
Yeah,
German AP
yeah,
is probably the best AP on destroyers that I've seen.
yeah.
It's pretty awesome. The tier 9 is the Mogador, Mogador. So we're going to call this the Mordor. We will go into
Yes.
Mordor and throw the ring into the freaking fire. Hit points
Oh,
to 20,000.
hit points.
Hit points
Hit
is
points. Hit
20,200.
points on the tier 8. 8,
Eight, yeah,
18,500, and now 20,000. That's a lot for a
it's
destroyer.
extra 2,000. And if you take survivability expert like most of us do on these things,
Yes.
gunboats, it's going to be even better. Let's roll back down here. 20,200 plating at 19 millimeters. 4x2s, so you're going to get double gun turrets here. Firing range of 13 kilometers. It's still not the best. Shell damage 2,000. AP is 2,700. 10% fire chance. Reload is 7 seconds. 180-degree turn time is 18 seconds. Maximum dispersion is 113 meters. 840 on both AP and HE, shell velocity, and segment 2.0. I don't like this 7-second reload. I find
Yeah.
it grossly ineffective to have longer reloads the more you go up. Why 7 seconds? I think you nerf it. You're not going to
the tier
knife fight
9
anybody at 7.
Yeah, the tier 9 and tier 10s are a bit of a letdown when it comes to reload. They're not brawling DDs, so you cannot brawl with other DDs. The tier 8 one can take on another DD, but the tier 9 and 10s, not so
And
much.
I don't like that reload time at all. Maximum speed. Well, here, let me jump back up. Torpedo tubes, 4x3s. So you get, I'm assuming it's 2 on one side and 1 on the other.
Two. Yeah.
Two. It looks like it's 2 in the front that go on either side, and then 1 universal like the Udaloy.
Yep.
At least that's what it looks like to me. 9 kilometers, 15,000 or 14,833. 9-kilometer range, 60 knots. Reload 60 seconds. Really fast reload on those. Turning time 7.2 and 1.3 kilometer detectability. So you have less than a minute to reload these things. It's really good. This might be a all right. Let's pew 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 get somebody to kite, and then let's just launch a bunch of fucking torpedoes in there as we're turning around, coming back the other direction. It's not bad. Maximum speed 44 knots, turning circle 730 meters, rudder shift at 4.7, surface detectability 8.1. Still long detectability on these, so you're looking at about 6.8, 6.9, maybe even 7. I'm not sure what the math calculations are here. Air detectability 3.9 and then 3.3 in the smoke. Damage control party, main reload booster, and engine boost. No smoke. That's the Mogator. Mogador. Kleber, tier 10, hit points, 21,900, plating, 19 meters. Main battery at 4x2, 139s, firing range at 13.6. So you only get 0.6 kilometer range from tier 9 to tier 10. So I don't understand. What would you take this over? Why would you take this over a kebab? Why would you take that? Why would you take the tier 9 over a trash can? Just seems like it would be, I think it would be bad at that point in time. Main battery shell load 2,000, APS 2,700, 10% fire chance, reload at 7 seconds. Still at 7 seconds at tier 10. 18 second on the gun turn time, which is slow for a DD, especially at that high tier. This is not a This is
Yeah.
not a anything kind of boat other
It's
than
not a brawler.
you're
It's not
mid
a
range, and
brawler.
that's all you're doing. This is
Yep.
all you're doing. So this might be the DD for you. This might be the DD that you just sit into the fucking pile. Sit into that big fucking massive ball that they got going on right now and just get protected and then just cause
Farm away.
problems, set fires or whatever. 4x3s, 18,408 kilometer range on the torpedoes, 75 knots, reload time of 77 seconds. 7.2
That's the
seconds.
catch. That's the
Yep.
catch. Look at the speed of the torpedoes.
70,
Have you seen something like that before?
75 knots, man. That's fucking fast. But they're only 8 kilometers.
Yeah.
So you don't have much. I guess you're rolling straight on in somebody. I mean, if you're gonna fight a DD, you got to roll right on in there, and they're not going to be able to turn out of it. You can.
It's a
This is
balls
the
deep
YOLO.
DD.
This is the YOLO Battleship DD. If you ever saw one.
Not French.
No.
This is definitely not French product.
AA, I'm not even going to talk about the maximum speed 44 knots, turning circle radius 740, rudder shift time 4.8 seconds. Surface detectability is 8 kilometers, 4.3 on the air, and 3.2 after firing and smoke. Damage control party, main battery, reload booster, and engine boost. That's it. That's everything we've got, guys. This is on the dev blog. If you guys want to go check it out, you guys can go over to the Facebook WoW's dev blog. Google search WoW's dev blog, and it will link you to whatever it is linking. will leave links in the comment section below, and I did link it out there for some of the other guys. So, all right, end of the questions and answering. Q&A, boys. If y'all have any more, let's hit it up. Playing against Azura68 says, playing against the CVs, the only interaction is turn, hit the AA button. I had more fun playing the one-armed bandits in Las Vegas. He's talking about playing a DD versus CV current state. Yeah, it's okay.
DD.
I mean, it's a struggle, but I think that when it's bad, it's bad, and when they're not paying attention to you, everything's fine. Everything's fine, and I don't know, man. We talked about this pretty hard last week with Virtual Senpai, and you guys can go back and watch that, obviously. But how much of it is the CVs doing, and how much of it is the players not adapting to it and trying to do things that they were able to do in the previous instance that they're not able to do now?
It's a 50-50.
50-50.
It's a 50-50. If the DD misplays and just runs away from its fleet, his mistake. If the carrier chases him, it's the carrier's accomplishment. But the DD should never give a carrier the opportunity. A good DD player will never give a carrier the opportunity.
This above all, I cannot preach enough how much playing in a division is going to impact your game with a CV. Because now if you have a guy, and the majority of the people do they don't anchor division, or not by any means, but I'm talking about one guy plays a cruiser, one guy plays a battleship, one guy plays a DD. That DD and that cruiser, they roll together into a cap, so that cruiser can help with the AA. And now, above all, it's time to start playing in divisions and trying to protect yourself. I mean, it's going to happen if you're out there by yourself, and how are you going to bitch at that CV, and how are you going to complain about that CV when you're out there doing by yourself? When you know it's a possibility and a very good prospect that guy's coming at you.
Kings of the Sea was a living example. It was an obvious place where this got tested. As soon as the DD was alone, the CV dropped the shit out of him. If the DD played together with a Wooster that he smoked, and then he got out of the smoke, the DD was actually bait for the carrier to lose his planes.
And I was watching that game that you sent me that we didn't talk about, but either way, it doesn't matter. And
Did you like it?
The gearings were smoking the Worcesters.
Yeah.
And they were like, here you go. Now you can shoot. You can be safe for a little bit while I go bait out those planes and then bring them back to you. And then he did. And they shot down a bunch of planes, and that was effective. Yeah. And that's the kind of mentality, teamwork that you need to have when you're playing in a division. Now you're not going to get that from a random if you're playing by yourself. You might
You
get it.
can communicate with a random. That's the thing. Maybe that's what wargaming wants, for people to communicate more, to use those F1 to F12 messages, and just understand that if you want to win, we should try to work together for a win. Not one guy pulls on this side and another one pulls on the other side, and I don't give you AA because you didn't give me smoke and stuff like that. You don't. It's not a game of I won't give you stuff unless you give me stuff. No, you give it because you're giving it to the team. Your ship belongs to that 12-man effort.
I think
And you
for a
should
long
understand
time,
that.
I think maybe you'll agree with this or not. I don't know, but maybe you guys will all agree with this. For the longest time, DDs have just kind of done whatever. They've
Yeah.
spotted, they've capped, they've kept informed, and they've been bitched and moaned at for not doing this or not doing that. Now, I think it's time to actually put a DD to the test here. Where are the good DDs going to go? They're still going to spot. They're still going to be able to cap, but they're just going to have to be a little bit more patient when they do it. They're going to have to play a little bit around the AA boat, the AA cruisers, and then the cruiser players are going to have to push a little bit forward and be a little bit ballsier. I think it's not only on the DDs to do this, but it's also on the cruisers and the battleships to fucking sack up and go into these caps or go play around these caps and defend each other. And with the CV, I think now more than ever, teamwork is prevalent. And if you're not playing in teamwork and you're not thinking for the team, how can I do this? And I'm thinking for myself, I need to go get these caps because that's what I'm supposed to do. Man, it's time to relook at the game again.
People that were here yesterday, they probably saw me baiting 2 carriers with planes. I baited their planes in. They got wrecked, and then what did I do? I went straight for the carriers and killed both of them. They didn't have any more planes to stop me. I just went 10 minutes into the game. I went with my DD straight in a line, straight towards where the carrier planes were retreating, and I just killed them. And then Venom cleaned them up with a carrier because they
were
no
separated.
more carriers. Yeah.
They were separated.
Like, you can't say that DDs aren't good against carriers. Yes, but they're not good at killing their planes.
Yeah.
If you're expecting your DD to be a plane killer,
then you're playing nothing but the
that's
Grozavoy.
that's not the
or the Sims or the Kid.
Ognevoy, yeah, stuff like that. Kid.
Something specifically designed for it. All right, the next one. As a DD player, if you stay near a cruiser, what's the point of playing in a destroyer when you can just play a cruiser? Exactly. I mean, there was a couple of guys in the King of the Sea tournament that didn't bring any DDs. Instead of in lieu of DDs, they brought Minotaurs.
Yes.
So to provide some more of that AA, because they know that carrier is strong and those carriers are here to stay. Now, they did say that there was still more plans. Now, this is on that list of Reddit stuff that we talked about. They did say that there were still more plans to fix and change and balance CVs through 8.3, 8.4, 8.5. So there's still a good several months of working on and doing this. And the people that are throwing their hands in the air saying, the CVs are the death of the game. I got nothing for you, bro, because you're obviously not playing the game. You're not playing the same game that I'm seeing, and you're not patient enough. So be a little bit more patient, guys.
You got 20 minutes to win a game. Don't be in the middle of the cap in the first 2 minutes with a DD.
It takes 20 minutes to win a game, but you can lose that game in 3 very quickly.
Exactly.
Very quickly. And we've all
Let
seen
the
that.
enemy try and cap.
Yeah.
Let the enemy try and cap, position and punish. It's better to position and punish than to rush.
Right. FTM ZK says, I think that it depends on the player. I have a hard time hitting DDs while I'm in a carrier, but if there is a bad DD player, I do okay. But I normally go for carriers and battleships. When dropping on which something that they have addressed, and they said they are working on a fix right now for the last second bomb drops that are broken. They know that it's broken. Everybody shows that it's broken. Getting hit for 8,000 damage at the last second, and somebody said that what if they drop higher, which adds a little bit more RNG. So it's just like something kind of crazy. So what do you think? What do you think about this comment?
There are some exploits out there that can help you hit any ship with pretty good accuracy. Of course, the rockets should be aimed at the water in front of the DD, like a few 100 meters, and then you just press your mouse button and never move those planes. It takes a little bit of practice, but you will see that you don't need to actually correct your planes while with the green reticle. You just gotta prepare it, have like a right angle between where the DD is and where your planes are, and you should meet them with the gray.
Just like shooting your
With the
guns.
gray, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
the same concept of shooting your guns there, what you're getting
exactly.
at.
And when you aim, you just go there and hope that you aimed correctly.
Yeah.
And it will take some time, but in the end, you will hit always with the smallest reticle,
Yo,
which will,
man, we've been working on this the last couple of days, and we're getting better. I mean, we started
yeah,
out the first day that we were trying to get our 10,000 a day. I wasn't hitting shit, man. I was like maybe 30, 40,000 damage. And I was like, man, this sucks. I'm doing really terrible. Last night we were averaging probably 60, 70,000 damage, and then
yeah,
we topped out at about 120,000 damage and a couple of kills here and there. And I'm starting to feel more comfortable in it. So it's all a matter of timing and playing. And I find it hard to listen to somebody saying, CVs are broken. Have you fucking played them? Have you played them as much? I mean, like if you've played them 4 or 5 times, then you probably don't have the mechanics down yet. So what's the point of complaining? You're just complaining to complain because it wasn't easy for you to pick up. I'm one of those guys too. I complained the first day that the CVs came out, man. And I mean, you guys were here. I did an early stream for that. It was a mess. And I bitched and moaned about it. But the more I play it, the more I find that I don't really feel that they're OP until you get into Tier 8. Those dive bombers and the Lexington are strong. They're too strong. And so are the ones on the Midway. They're way too strong. Spotting is a thing. Spotting is something that I think, that fighter drop. I still think that fighter should come from the carrier and not just instantaneously be there. I think that would alleviate some of that problem. Also, when it comes in, it can immediately start
travel
attacking.
time.
The travel time coming back, it immediately is ready to go and to attack, and so there's not that 5 or 6 second delay between when the drop happens before it's effective.
Yep,
that's my thoughts. Hard to do anything in DDs with almost constantly being spotted. I just addressed that, actually. I have...
planes cannot spot you if they're dead, so get those planes somewhere where they're dead, where they die.
There's an adjustment. There's still an adjustment to be had from DD players and the rest of the team, not just DD players, but the cruiser players with the AA. They need to adjust their play style. Forget what you're doing for yourself. Fucking defend that other guy. And that's you have to quit being selfish when you're playing this game anymore to make it work. To make it work anymore, you cannot be a selfish player anymore to make it work. The days of you being a destroyer and carrying the game 100% are gone. It's just gone. You can't cap. You cannot cap with a CV in the game unless you have support. So you have to play around your team. Now more than ever, get in a division, get into clans, getting somebody like-minded, get into Discords and play with people, man.
Smoke a cruiser 2 kilometers from the cap, 3 kilometers from the cap, and then get in the cap, see what happens. The CV will come to drop you, and his planes are gonna get wrecked, and he's gonna be like, nope.
Yep. And
gonna turn away and like, I'm gonna search for something else.
Even if you do get hit, cap resets. What happens? Guy goes away, maybe drops you a plane. You roll out of it. Let that cruiser do work on those fighter planes. Then roll right back on in, and then do it again. So there's definitely things that we could be done. FTM ZK says, I have noticed that a lot of people don't play as a team, and I watch where their team is on the map. I find watching the mini-map saves me a lot. FTM, this is my number one tip to new players is pay attention to that mini-map. And if you can pay attention to the mini-map, then you can kind of start to learn the flow of the game and how everything's going and what you need to do to step up the pace if you're behind or kind of calm down if you're in the lead. So flow of the game is definitely important, and you can only get that from the mini-map. Disciple number 16, playing a battleship in a CV game is hard because the battleships can't push up with a cruiser, or they burn to death, or they get torpedoed. Yes, I agree. I agree. But you got to stay relatively close to some of them. You know, most of the AA cruisers out there, some of the other ones are pretty potent on their AA in their own right that aren't sitting out there. So maybe you roll with them. I'm not sure what to do about battleships. What do you think, Hammer?
I think every ship has its strengths and weaknesses, and the best way to make them shine is as a three-man division. That's the only thing I can relate to talking about ships, powerful ships, OP ships, anything. It takes teamwork, and the OPness of a ship doesn't matter. When I hear people talking about Belfast being OP, I'm just, yeah, I lose all confidence in human race. Kutuzov OP, the same. Gives me a headache. If Kutuzov and Belfast are OP, I'm just, yeah,
They just they probably these people just got pooped on and they're upset and they just want to
yeah,
complain. That's kind of what it is. It's kind of the feeling that I'm getting a lot of these CVs now. When you're in a boat like the Cossack and a Midway puts a fighter over, you're not shooting those planes down. So I totally understand. I totally understand the other side. Or the other side of it. Willie Shan says, I like to play the Salem in close with its hydro going as the DD chaser. Eat them peds on the nose, and that super heal will take care of you.
true that. You're an
Uh,
ambusher. Doesn't matter what you ambush, it's gonna get wrecked. It's gonna suffer.
it's gonna hurt. I don't have any issues playing in Tier 8 and Tier 10 games, but it would be nice to see something implemented to give Tier 10s their own bracket at Tier 11 or 12 matchmaking, so that happens a lot less. I don't, Willie. I don't think that you can't slow down. You can't slow down the matchmaker just because Tier 10s are in Tier 8s all the time. There's got to be a fundamental change. You can't just up that because that really doesn't solve the problem of how they choose the actual things. How they choose the actual games. Now, if you go 11 and 12, then what? That means that Tier 10 at some point in time will never see Tier 8. Now, I'm not saying take them out, but maybe lower it. Like we did a couple of months ago. Hammer, you were here you were around here doing that. We did 100 games at Tier 8. Now it was random times, but mainly on the stream time, which is peak time here, 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time, to
Yep.
10 o'clock, to 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. 64 games out of that 100 was played at Tier 10.
Yeah,
64 games.
that's
64 games was played at Tier 10. Now, would I like to see that less? Yeah, 40% is what I want to see. I want to see 40 games at Tier 10, and then I want the rest of them spread out. The rest of that 24% that I got, that would throw it at Tier 9, throw it at Tier 8. The majority of the games were played at Tier 10, 64, I believe. And
they
then,
can make a safety net. They
yeah,
can implement a safety net like you play the Pogami, right?
yeah,
You played it into tier 10. Now you have like you have with the ping status. You cannot end up in a tier 10 game for the next two games.
yeah.
How about that? You already struggled one tier 10 game. You have safe matchmaking for 2 games, 3 games. I don't know. They can implement that. You're a tier 8. You're not going to see tier 10 for another 3 games. Enjoy them. Then go back to the struggle. Learn how to fight tier 10s and get back to tier 8 for another 3 games.
I mean,
You also feel like you're rewarded for playing a tier 10 match in a tier 8 ship. It's like another reward, another incentive to make you want to play a tier 8 ship. Like, I'm going to suffer this game, but I'm going to have 3 games in which I'm probably going to wreck some people.
yeah. It's a
They
possibility. I
can do
mean,
that.
it's a
It's,
possibility. I mean, they've said that the matchmaking algorithm is ridiculous right now, and maybe
yeah,
I don't even know if they can even simplify it enough to where it says, okay, you have 11 and 12. You have tier 11 now. That's it.
yeah.
And I don't even know if they can simplify it that easily. I know it's complicated, and I know that I'm not no mathematician, so I'm just gonna have to suffer for now until and it's like, okay, well, here you go again. I mean, that's frustrating as hell, but there's really nothing I can do about it. So it's kind of one of those things you just accept, kind of like the CVs right now. You just kind of accept what's going on, and then you move on if you want to continue to play the game, or you don't play anymore, or you get salty
Just,
and you get unreasonable, and you get to the point where you can't even hold a good conversation with somebody about it because you're so ingrained in one side of it that you're not even willing to listen to the other guy.
everybody listening to this, the solution is always a huge player base.
More
So
people.
invite your friends, get your friends into the game, give them that free 14 days premium and a premium Warspite. Things that we never got when we made our accounts, Venom. We got squat.
I ain't get nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
I came in on the Mikasa giveaway, the first Mikasa giveaway. That's when
Yeah.
I came in. That was it, and I was like, oh, I gotta actually do this. Holy shit, I
Now
didn't
you
know.
get like
I
a
was like, what's this for?
$55-$60 pack
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
CB popularity is necessary because it gives wargaming the data. The data is necessary for balancing issues. Guys, if y'all want, here's something. If you guys want to get something changed in this game, play it and play it well, and play it to where it's so broken that they may have to make changes on it. Yeah,
Wreck people with it.
Yeah, wreck people with it. As much as I don't give credit to what's his name with the 500,000 damage game, it is effective. It is an effective deterrent for people to say, hey, whoa, hang on, guy. This is a little much. I don't appreciate, congratulations on it. I still don't count it because it was on a broken system. But if you want to go out there and do that, then there you go. Go for it. That's how you get things changed. Sitting there bitching in the forums, bitching on Twitter and complaining about it and not playing it, it's not solving the problem. Play it.
Just
go out
listen
there and
to
play
a
it.
guy. Listen to a guy responsible for the nerfing of the Yue Yang. And he's not happy about it. Like, you're not happy that the Yue Yang got nerfed, but you have to admit it. It was
Oh,
too
it was
easy.
strong, man. It was good. It was way good. Did it get nerfed? Yeah. Do I want to play it anymore? No, because the only reason why I started playing it was because for rank season. I have no reason to play it now because I don't play a lot of tier 10s anymore. I find more enjoyment out of playing at 6, 7, and 8 than I do out of 10. And 8 is questionable. The problem with the CVs is the same issue with World of Tanks with artillery. If you want to look at the future of WoWs, look at the WoWs and a lot of problems that we had here in WoWs that existed in World of Tanks for many, many years with no change. Well, the CVs were a problem before, and we got a change. It might not have been a change that you guys wanted, and it's still kind of fluctuating right now, but it is a change, and it was a needed change because the CVs we had before was shit. They were terrible. So you get that spotted by that DD. Here comes. Now you're done. You're gone. Tier 8 was even worse when Tier 10 CVs were out there. The hack dropping 3 sets of torpedoes on you and a Tier 8 cruiser, fuck you, you're dead. There's nothing you could do about it. Dropping the bombs on top of it, fuck, you're done.
You can sit next to a Des Moines. A Des Moines can hold you in his lap and he will still kill you without even...
Still kill you. So I like what we have now. I think it's a good start. It's close. It's close. They still need to address the DD spotting. The DD spotting is maybe a little bit strong, probably too strong. There are also some bugs that they need to work out as well with the drops. Other than that, I think it's pretty good right now. I don't know what Hammer. Do you think it's pretty good, or do you think there's...
It's a fun game. It become like CVs make it for when you're playing against CV. It makes me wanna teamwork, and when I play with the CV, it makes me wanna also play like teamwork, not another deletion ship, a ship that you delete ships with. No, it's a ship that you help your team with. You either give them some A protection, some vision, and then you act like a cleanup tool and stuff like that.
Right.
You do some damage, you play some fires, your team follows up on that, or you follow up on your team's fires. Yeah, you just gotta look at the map, see where your fleet is stronger, and just follow your fleet with the CV and help those guys create that death ball or that lemming train that everybody complains about and says, that's stupid. No, that's the way it should be.
That death ball is no different than what we had before. It was just a lemming train. It's still a death ball, but in line form when they all went the same direction. It's no different than the way it used to be. Now it's more prevalent because, number one, they're closer together, and number two, you're actually paying attention to it. Now, what do you do with that death ball? If you run that shit right up their goddamn throat, up the D cap, then fuck, you're going to take that cap and they're going to run. So it's all on what you do with that death ball. I mean, we roll up the middle, and what do we tell the side? We roll up the middle on two brothers. We're like, hey, you guys got to push. And what do? They group up and they push. And when the teams that group up and push, we generally win, and we generally win handily. And the
We
ones that
catch
sit
half
back
their
and they
fleet.
go out to the one line, we lose because they're not playing the game. They're not like, this is the opportunity here. You guys got to get it up together and go push, and they won't do it.
Yeah.
So
It's a
there you go.
simple pincer move. We pincer from the middle, they come from a flank, and the ships that are trapped between us and them just melt.
They get hammered.
Yeah.
For existing legendaries, the useless ones, mostly you just need to tone down the penalties. Like if you change a Republic's legendary module from an 18% range penalty to a 10% range penalty, the people will actually use that. Thoughts on that? Or thoughts on thoughts on the penalties? I mean, that was one specific example. But what are the negatives of using some of these legendary modules, and would you tone them down to make them more accessible?
The legendary modules change the way your ship plays. They just change, apart from like the ZOW and the gearing, but every single other ship just changes the way it plays. So if you have an upside, you should have a downside too. And you gotta take advantage of the strong parts of that super module and just try to work your way with the downside.
Well, there's some offsets. There's some offsets to
Yeah.
these. I mean, like there is like the kebab. Everybody says the kebab one's dumb because you get more
Yeah.
range, but you get less concealment. It washes, honestly, because if you don't have 13.5 kilometer range now, you're playing at about 12 and a half. For a kebab to be fully effective, it's 12 and a half, and then you can turn around and you can dodge shots. Under 10, you start not missing. You start getting hit. Over that, you have an ability to maneuver. Now, when you up the range to 14 kilometers or whatever it is, you also up your concealment, but you also up your functionality time. So instead of sitting at 12 to 13, now you can sit at 14 kilometers. Now you can sit at anywhere between 10 and 14 kilometers and still be effective. You're going to be seen. You're going to be putting your trigger anyway. So is it really that important to have that concealment on the kebab? No, because
No.
it's a wash. It's a complete wash. Some of them are washes, guys.
Yeah. The thing is, the kebab used to be very effective before. Like very effective ship just to annoy battleships.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the same
I
thing with
would
the.
always tell my team, like, just shoot at it.
I mean, it's the same
Don't
thing with the
ignore it.
Zao. A lot
Shoot
of
at it.
people like the Zao mod because of the accuracy, but
Yeah.
you lose you are okay losing that range because you're a Zao. Your detectability is great, so it ends up being a wash.
Yep.
You don't care. You really don't care. Plus, you got a spotter plane, so you can still shoot. You can still shoot 19 kilometers. So people don't give a shit about that. Now with the bigger, slower, the bigger things that are harder to turn, like the kebab, people give a shit, and people are like, oh, it's not worth it. Fucking try it out, man. I'd use it. It's fucking great. I do the same amount of damage. I do the same amount of stuff that I was doing before. So some of them are washes. Some of them you can't. Some of them you can't affect. Some of them don't really have much negativity, as in the Yamato. I mean that you can wash that out with the Yamamoto captain have a expert marksman perk on it, and then you can put expert marksman on it, so it does that, and it kind of washes that out too, doesn't it? To get
Thing
that
is,
accuracy.
Wargaming doesn't have enough data to actually change something on these legendary mods because not a lot of people have them, and the players that have them are some of the, let's say, most committed players and the best players. So taking data from the best players around that spam those ships and play them at the top level isn't the right way to think about, making a chart about how that legendary mod is performing. As soon as thousands and thousands of players will have those mods, we will see an intervention from Wargaming saying, "Whoa, this mod is overperforming," or "Whoa, this mod is doing squat and nobody picks it up." But right now we have only a few thousand people that have legendary mods, and the data is just not there to make changes to them.
There you go. Play them, use them, abuse them to get them changed. or don't use
Yeah.
them. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing
If you
is to
don't
get them
use
to do
them, they're
something.
gonna change them. If you use them and you're good in them, they're gonna change them. If you use them and you're bad in them, they're gonna change them. So
Nothing's set in this game.
yeah,
Servetom, I thought the Slava was not going to get the Soviet accuracy bump at 12 kilometers. Now that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they? Why would they? They've been making these premium line ships better than the regular line ships, and it's comparable tier. Why would they not add that to the premium?
especially because Slava's stats aren't great. It's got short range. It's got North Carolina guns, at best North Carolina guns, and yeah, it needs a gimmick.
Now I guess the only gimmick is it's just a long range tank. I mean, if it's not going to get the 12 kilometers, then you reduce it to sniping, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty accurate. I mean, the boats are pretty accurate without the being at 12 kilometers anyway, but they did get the buff at 12. So if this one doesn't have it, then it remains a long range spammer, long range AP spammer, but
yep.
fucking monster. So either way, it's about all right. The Yoshino torps or arcs are not going to be good. They're going to be super well protected. It's going to be hard to break them. It's typical. In the back, as soon as you hit tier 6, you just stop. You just stop worrying about your torpedoes, man, because you end up
Yeah.
got to get my beads off. Do you think the introduction of these French destroyers will further impact the meta? Already frustrating when you get a team of a couple of kebabs and Harry Gumbos on the other team and get real destroyers and you lose because you have no DD that is willing to cap. That's all on the player base. That's all in player base. Is it going to continue that? Yeah, absolutely. Because these aren't cappers either. These are let's annoy the shit out of people. Let's annoy the crap out of people. Let's annoy the set them on fire like the kebab. Let's be a Harry Gumbo and just sit and smoke and just help over islands or whatever we got to do to get our damage out there. But let's do it quickly. And this is what the French line is going to be. Now that's all going to be teamwork. Now if you have a kebab and a Harry Gumbo and one of these French boats out there, then you're going to have to play as a team. You're going to have to roll into those caps together. You're going to be behind. You're going to be behind early unless you do it. So
People don't really understand that a battleship in an entire 20-minute game, a battleship shoots 40 times. If you play a very fast destroyer and you make that battleship shoot at you 5 times, you've taken 12% of that battleship's potential damage for the entire game. And you've done a huge service to your team. If you make ships shoot at you and miss, you're doing a great service to your teams, especially if you annoy big ships that have a low chance of hitting you, but have a huge damage and chance of hitting your more, let's say, impactful ship like your radar cruisers and your battleships that are out there trying to punish the battleships that are trying to hit you. So if you make big ships shoot at you, those shots are taken from your team's HP.
there you go. I never really thought about it that way. Battleships shoot 40 times in a game, and if you can get them to shoot 5 times at you, that's 35. That's 5 less shots. They can go potentially one shot your AA. Or
Yep.
potentially. Now, how is this going to manifest itself when there's a CV in the game? Are you going to be able to actually focus that guy? I don't know. Are you be able to actually put your damage on him and force him to shoot at you? I don't know. We'll
I
find
think
out.
that at least the French destroyers, I think they're pretty fast, so you can play at 7, 8 kilometers away from an AA ship. And if you see the carrier coming in, you just go towards that A ship, and if that A ship isn't spotted, the carrier might have a shitty surprise. Because they'll be coming for you. They won't be like focused on everything that's there, and they're gonna get at least 300, 400 meters into the cruiser's AA. again,
It still hurts them. I
lose.
mean, even if they don't lose any planes,
He's not gonna come back.
man, he might come back. I don't know.
He's gonna go away. You can come back. You do that once, twice. He's not gonna play that game with you anymore.
He's
You're
going to get
playing cat and
frustrated.
mouse.
He's either going to he's either going to throw his planes at you. You find you maybe you get a drop off. Maybe you don't get the drop off. Maybe he kills all your planes.
Yeah.
Maybe you take one torpedo, but he's gone now for a little bit.
Psychological
You know,
warfare.
for a little bit. But either way, guys, we got one more comment here. It says Sandor says everybody focuses on the carriers dropping on the destroyers. That is not the issue. It's the entire team shooting at you while the CV has you perma spotted. This is the same concept to when people complain about radar. I personally have this issue as well, where that motherfucker out there at 18 kilometers doing absolutely nothing is being benefited. He should come in. So how do you fix radar? You make it like, how do you fix it? Number one, they've tried to give it a 6 second delay for radar, but that guy after that 6 seconds still is full on you. Well, that's maybe not the solves the problem. That guy should come in within that range. Like the Cyclone, 10 kilometers for get within that 10-kilometer range, then you can see me. That's I don't know if it's necessarily that fair, but whatever, that's the system that we got. So
But
but it's the same concept for the CVs. That's their job. I mean, you're going to begrudge destroyer him. He's going to need to go spot. He doesn't shoot his guns, but keeps that battleship or that cruiser spotted to where the rest of your team is going to go drop on him and knock the shit out of him till he dies. Can't really bitch at him for doing the same thing to me. Although I don't like it, it's still part of the game. What do you think?
if there's a mechanic, we need to understand that if there is a mechanic in randoms that makes a ship or a certain class of ships powerful and they slap us on the face during the randoms game, you need to understand that that same gimmick, that same mechanic in professional play where players really know what they're doing, that slap turns into a freaking sledgehammer. So yeah, wargaming cannot put out gimmicks there that are too strong or too weak, because people will either take advantage of them
Which
or
we saw.
just or turn a ship into just a complete never seeing competitive again type of a ship. And wargaming wouldn't like that, to make like these 10 lines of cruisers, because there are a lot of tier 10 cruisers and there's only like 3 or 4 of them viable for competitive. That
Right.
would be just stupid. So they need to balance things between the competitive and the randoms. So they can't make anything that's either too efficient in randoms or something really efficient in randoms, which was the radar.
It was a little
Because
overly efficient. I still think it ended up being a wash. I honestly don't think much has changed. They added time on it. Not only did they add time, they added range. So technically, that nerf that they did to, or quote unquote rebalancing, ended up being a buff to radar.
Actually, yeah, that's what we feel like in randoms, but in competitive,
It makes a
the
difference.
DD just gets out of there.
So I guess the next question is do you guys think that they should balance toward competitive play? Because that usually tends to trickle down. I know in other games they balance toward competitive play, and then it trickles down and makes the average player or the random player have to form into that. Do you think that that's something that they should look into?
It's in World of Warships, I can tell you that it is focused on randoms. They focus on the majority of games being played, and these games being played are random games.
Right.
So they want randoms to be, first of all, they want randoms to be balanced. But yeah, sometimes some ships just slip out of this balance between random and competitive and show their true monstrous faces. Like the Henri, which I find not at all overpowered in randoms,
No.
but in competitive, where the game is unfortunately a bit too static, just punishes those static ships. It punishes the static battleships. It punishes the Stalingrads that were static. That's why you don't see Stalingrads that much. That you remember that, oh, it's so overpowered. It's so, yeah, nobody plays it in competitive. It was so overpowered it survived 2 months in competitive, 3 months. Then it went to the gutter. Now everybody's like, actually Moscow is a better ship.
Right.
So Stalingrad had its day until people realized, well, it's still a stationary ship the size of 2 battleships.
Well,
What
here's
if
the.
we shoot at it?
I mean, it goes. Let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Because I know it's probably like what 5 o'clock in the morning for you over there. It's pretty.
Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly
early.
5 o'clock.
It's pretty early for him over in Romania. So herein lies the rub. The game is balanced on randoms. Randoms does not translate into competitive. Competitive does not translate back into randoms because it's all balanced around randoms. Co-op guys can shut up because there's nothing balanced for you at all because you're playing against bots, so who gives a shit? All
You
right.
don't exist to us.
Yeah. You're not real people. You're not real people. So moving along into the future, do you think that if they took a season, not unlike the rank season, but instead of that rank season going, they ranked out, okay, you've won this game, you get this many points, and you continue to go, and you move up into the leagues, the different leagues, and if you lose these games, you move down, not unlike the star period that we have currently in ranked, and then they stretch that out over a course of 3 or 4 months. Do you think that that would shift their focus from balancing randoms into balancing that competitive play and then end up making the game better off for everybody? Think about that, guys, as we take out here. Well, let me get your opinion here real quick, Hammer, and then we'll kick out of here.
I think that randoms are a type of games that it doesn't have to disappear, but it has to be replaced by a better version. And I think there is a better version out there. There's just Wargaming probably waiting and thinking it out to give us like a really, really good version of this type of game. Because randoms is doesn't nobody cares about randoms. That's the thing. You play them, but you don't really like care about them. The rewards aren't there. There's no steal. There's not a lot of you get XP. Okay, at the end of the day you get 3 containers. That's randoms. You play to get your containers. Play to have some fun, but you can actually play and have a ladder kind of system where you play for 6 months. You get like an XP bar and you fill that up with XP after each game. You either lose some XP, fill some XP, and then you go up. You fill the entire cup. Now you're 1 rank up. Start filling this cup, and then you go like that until you reach like a super high level, chief
Do you
commander,
think?
master of the seas.
Do you think that eventually, hypothetical in your situation here, they win, they get it, they lose, they get a little bit less, and then so eventually you can make it up there, or is it you win, you get it, if you lose, you don't get shit and you lose? Kind of like if you win, you get a star. If you lose, you don't get a star,
I think that
or
they
you
can
lose a
actually
star.
make a system where even if you lose, if your your let's say your result in the game was good, decent, so it's not like you are majorly responsible for the loss and you were one of the players that in your
See,
team actually did the most to, secure that win and just couldn't do it because it happens. You sometimes just can't do it.
so
You should actually,
there's
I don't know, lose just a few points or maybe just lose no points. But I think good play, even in a loss, should be somehow exemplified and not rewarded, but not punished as much as potatoing.
I think
because
I think that it's hard to reward somebody's intentions, and they've said this before. Yeah,
yeah,
this guy put out the smoke, and well, I just happened to go sit in it. Should this guy get rewarded because he just happened to hit the button on accident? So it's hard to judge intentions on where people are doing and what people's actual motivations were to do this. So how do you reward their motivations? It's different for every person. People want to do this for one reason or another. So that's impossible to reward. I would like, however, to see better rewarding for tanking and better rewarding for spotting. And that's the last I'm going to say on it. Guys, thank you very much, guys. Hammer, promote your channel here right quick. Tell them where they can find you, what your schedule is, and so on and so on.
guys, I stream every day. Mostly it's gonna fit the EU time zone, but I also stream. Usually my stream starts after Venom stops streaming. That's 9 o'clock in the morning for me. 10 o'clock in the morning for me. That's probably the 4 in the morning for him, something like that, or even later. You can find me at Twitch TV/hammerald. I try and play a lot with my clanmates, so we try to put out some tactical division kind of games. I will also stream clan battles and everything that can help a new clan develop a taste for competitive.
There you go, guys. Go check him out on twitch.tv/hammerald. That is it, boys. Across Your Bow, episode 22 is now in the books. Next week coming up, we have my man Krieger's going to come on, and that will be April the 2nd. We have available here, and then in 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, me, Jace, and then Volgar the Viking. After that, we got the rest of April set up for this. So I do have an opening on the 9th, and I am currently in talks with a couple of people to try to fill that spot. So keep up on the Twitter at SirVenom, Sir_Venom_IK right there if you guys want to get any updates on that. And then twitch.tv/SirVenomIK if you guys want to come in here and have an active conversation that's constructive. Hammer, I want to say thank you very much, man. I know it's late for you, dude. I do apologize for keeping you that long, but thank you very much for agreeing to come on to the podcast this week, as it was a very last minute and there was very little prep time for you. So I do thank you again. I do appreciate it. Guys, thanks for watching. I am Sir Venom. He is Hammerald. Hammerald, take us out, bro.
Pleasure as always, guys.
All right, boys. I love you, man. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys next week with Krieger right here on Across Your Bow.